So here we have it, the man of the hour. He is a former Major League Baseball player that played in the league for 13 years. He's a two-time All-Star and a World Series champion. Please welcome Denny, the good-looking bastard that he is. Neagle in the house, baby. How are you?
Man, I don't know if I can top that intro, boy. That's pretty damn good.
Oh, well, the intro is the key. You know what I'm saying? I gotta win you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, brother.
So, Danny, here's the thing, man. Your journey is interesting. You from Maryland, you played high school baseball in Maryland, and then you went to University of Minnesota. Now I'm sure there's other schools that offered you in a beautiful weather state too. Correct?
Well, that's why I went to Minnesota for the warm weather.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I definitely, when coming out of high school, I was debating on going to the University of Maryland, being a Maryland boy, obviously. I was looking at like Georgia Tech, Georgia Southern, Florida Southern. Actually, one of my top schools that I really wanted to go to back then, I don't know if you remember this or not, but like back in like the mid 80s to late 80s, the University of Maine used to be a powerhouse in college baseball because it was weird. They have since changed the rules of who can host regionals and stuff. You know, it definitely goes based more on merit and strength of schedule and stuff like that. Back then, because of the conference that Maine played in, which I can't even remember which conference that was, they like were shooing every year to win their conference and ran away with it. So every year they didn't have the super regionals back then either too. So every year they would win their conference tournament, and then they got to host their own regional every year. So University of Maine used to go to the College World Series quite often back in like the mid to late 80s. And I loved skiing as well too. Skiing and baseball were like my two favorite pastimes at that time. So I'm like, this is a match made in heaven, man. I'm going to go to Maine. I can ski, can play baseball, play the top program, hopefully get drafted. It didn't work out. I actually, was getting recruited there. And then at the last minute, the pitching coach and head coach told me they ended up signing this other left-handed pitcher that was from like New York or New Hampshire, somewhere like that. So they passed on me, and I ended up choosing the University of Minnesota. But yeah, I mean, the other one I was definitely really considering though was University of Maryland. Unfortunately, it was right at the time that the Len Bias thing happened when Lenny OD'd and stuff, and it just kind of sent the whole athletic department and programs, all across the board into kind of a tailspin, so to speak. And it just kind of messed up their whole recruiting and everything. And it just seems like, it was just going to be a mess, had I gone there at that time. The baseball program was pretty good. They just had a new coach, but then, it was just kind of, like I said, up and down the whole athletic program. It just sent a shockwave, as you can imagine. That was a big time thing that happened at that time. So I was like, maybe it's just a sign for me. Maine didn't work out. Maryland didn't work out. My high school baseball coach had coached in the Junior Olympics with the assistant baseball coach, University of Minnesota. He came back and was like, Denny, you got to go to Minnesota, man. This guy's unbelievable. He's right up our alley. Same philosophy as me. So I trusted my high school coach a lot. He was a huge influence in my life and in my baseball career. So took the visit, fell in love with it. And as luck would have it too, Eddie, it's funny. Was it my first win? Yeah, it was my first win also too. We always hosted a tournament in the Metrodome back then. It was called either the Wheaties Classic, the Pillsbury Classic, and we used to bring in the top programs every year. University of Miami, Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State. My freshman year, we brought in the University of Maine because they were a powerhouse back then. I got to pitch against them and got my first college win, and felt pretty daggone good to look at their dugout, and say, well, you could have had me over there, guys.
Oh wow, yeah, that was great revenge right there. I love that part.
Absolutely.
Were you the man in high school baseball? Like, were you that guy, Danny? Like, everybody, all eyes on you, by the time you're junior and senior year. Were you that guy?
Yeah, pretty much. I was always known as Mr. Baseball, the baseball guy and stuff. I was fortunate enough that I went to high school. We had some really good athletes at our school. We had this guy named Troy Turner, man, was our all-state football player. He was like 5'7" and could, 180 dunk in basketball also too. And, he was incredible. So he ended up becoming he was like the most athletic, but I was always known as the baseball guy, me and my buddy Brian. My buddy Brian was the pitcher shortstop. I was the pitcher first baseman. And, so we kind of, but my high school program, Eddie, it was unbelievable. We were ranked number 5 in the nation going into the state playoffs my senior year. We ended up having 8 guys going to play Division I baseball from my senior class. I mean, it was crazy. I went to Minnesota. My buddy Brian went to Maryland. Another buddy went to Coastal Carolina. Another guy went to like Georgia Southern, something like that. I mean, we were loaded and ended up losing in the regionals to this like 72 mile an hour junk ball curveball guy that we could not adjust to the kid, man. He just
Are you kidding me? You couldn't stay back?
Could not stay back, and I made the last out with second and third. We were down by 1 run, second and third, and I punched out on the freaking 58 mile an hour curveball.
Wait a minute. You looked at that pitch?
I didn't look at it. I swung.
Oh, okay.
It was like the Bugs Bunny, like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. I could not stay back, man.
So you're way forward, and you're still waiting for the ball to come, right?
Still waiting for it, man. Oh God. I'll tell you what, too, Eddie, I swear to God, I tell that story to people today, man. It's still one of the most painful losses of my whole baseball career because we were so stacked. And like I said, we were number 1 in the state, like 26-0, number 5 in the nation. The 4 teams in front of us, nationally ranked, all lost in their state playoffs. Like Simi Valley, California was a powerhouse back then. They were always like number 1, 2, or 3 in the country. They ended up losing to like a team, and so did the other 3 teams in front of us. If we had won out, we would have finished number 1 in the nation. And so, I don't remember what we ultimately ended up finishing up that year nationally ranked. But the next year, we had all those seniors graduate. The team, they still had a great team. My high school coach is in the High School Hall of Fame. He's like I said, he was really instrumental in my baseball career. But this is a testament of what a great coach he was. I would venture to say that they had, not less than the talent that we had, that next year, but certainly not the talent that we had my senior year. And they end up running the table the following year and went undefeated and finished number 1 in the nation.
When you left?
When I left.
Yeah, man.
That's how good a high school coach my coach was.
Well, your story is similar. It was your junior year, right? You guys were stacked and all that?
Well, my senior year.
Oh, senior year. Okay. So,
Yep.
And then you guys lost. You said you lost in the regional, right? So was that like a
Yes.
Final Four, semifinal game?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So Darryl Strawberry's story, listen to this shit. I can't believe this. His junior year, they were stacked, same thing at Crenshaw High School, right, in Los Angeles, and they go to the city championship game. So, and everybody knows Strawberry's team is stacked. They're gonna win it all, right? So they play against this school, the city championship game, and the team is beating Strawberry's team 3-0. And then by the 3rd inning, Strawberry's team gets 2 runs, and now it's 3-2. So the opposing team, they bring their third baseman to pitch, and he shut them down, and he's an NFL Hall of Fame quarterback.
No way. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's see. Strawberry, so about the same age as Strawberry, Hall of Fame quarterback. What's Straw, about like 60, 61 now?
Well, I know 78, he was a junior, high school.
So, so 10 years older than me. So, so 9 years older. God dang it.
Come on,
hold on. I love guessing stuff like this. I'm going to say Warren Moon.
Close. But, he's
I got you.
a little better than Warren Moon as an NFL quarterback.
Oh, man. Not Marino, because he's a Pittsburgh boy.
Matter of fact, I'll give you another hint. This player also got drafted by the Yankees.
John Elway?
There you go, baby. John Elway shut him down.
No way.
Yep.
I was going to say, why I should have known that because, the whole thing when Elway got drafted, he threatened to go play baseball.
Right. Yeah. Can you believe this shit? Like, out of all the players, John Elway shut down his high school and they won the city championship.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love stories like that.
So, all right, now back to in high school. You were the man. What round were you? Are you a 3rd rounder?
3rd round. Yep.
Okay. What was your signing bonus back then?
So it was 65,000 total, but it was 50,000 cash and 15 to finish up my college education. 65 grand total.
65 grand a 3rd rounder. So. What is it today if you're a 3rd rounder?
Shoot, man. 3rd round today, I mean, especially if you're a high school kid that has the leverage, to leverage college, I'm going to go to college unless you give me such and such. I would guess third rounds could get anywhere between 5 to 7 million almost these days, or at least to maybe 2 to 3 million.
At least 2 to 3, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I might have overshot that a little bit. Certainly, first round picks get anywhere between that, 5 to 10 million even these days, because
actually,
they put it in a bundle.
Yeah, actually, I think the first rounders, I think it's double digits now. I think it's 10 and up now.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're a high school kid that maybe, that he's given every clue that he's going to college, and him and his parents are telling the scouts, no, don't draft me. But let's say a team takes a chance on him and takes him in the third round, for them to sign him, it might take 5, 6, 7 million, to sign that kid, whatever, to convince him not to forego college and stuff. Yeah. It's just nuts. I remember too, because Scott Erickson.
Yeah.
Scotty,
Baltimore Orioles, right?
Oh yeah. But we got drafted with the Twins. The Twins had a really good draft year. Chuck Knobloch was the first round pick. I was third. Scott Erickson was fourth. Mike Trombley went in like the 10th round. Marty Cordova went in like the 9th round. So they had a pretty good draft. But they drafted the Twins were smart. They drafted this high school kid. I think his name was like John Gumpf, like Gumpf. So not like Forrest Gump, but John Gumpf. And that kid, because Scotty Erickson was pissed off at me because he was like, dude, why'd you? Because he was 4th round behind me. So once they slotted me at the 65 grand, they're like, we can't give you more than Neagle, our third, the one pick in front of you. So Scotty had to sign for like 50, whatever. And he was mad at me. And I go, dude, don't get mad at me. It was that high school kid. He signed like the second day eligible, to sign. They drafted him the next day. He signed, and I think he signed for like 70. Knobloch got like 125, first round pick, 125. But that kid, his slot should have been like, that $75,000 to $100,000 range, especially a kid out of high school. And he signed like I said, day 1 or 2 for like 70 grand. So that the Twins had me then. They're like, we can't give you more than the second round. So like 65 is the max we can go. So then Scotty got pissed off at me.
So what'd you do with that 65 grand? Obviously, you probably bought a car, right? Right away.
I bought a Ford Probe. that I was styling back then, man. That was the sports car back then. I remember Pat Mahomes, a senior, was a good buddy of mine. We used to room together in Visalia when we were playing together in the California League. And he had the Ford Probe GT. He goes, when you grow up, you can get this car, Neagle. Because I didn't have the GT. I had the Peon stock one.
But Denny, listen. But now you're a stud, right? Handsome guy, right? I mean, when you were single back then, I don't know if you were, but like what girls were like,
oh yeah,
oh my God, you're a ball player. You play for the major leagues. Oh, right. Is that how it was? Come on, open up to me about this. Come on, you were single at the time.
I was definitely single. Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's like the old Eddie Murphy bit, the comedy club. All you got to do is sing, whatever, because right. guys like Mick Jagger and Rick Ocasek from the Cars and stuff can get supermodels. But same thing in baseball and any professional sports. It's amazing how much better looking you get when you're the starting shortstop or the starting pitcher for such and such team or whatever, And but if you're a decent looking guy to begin with too, and you play professional sport, whatever too, it's kind of crazy, man. Like some of the women.
but Denny, has this ever happened? Right, you're hanging out at a bar, you're a rookie in Minnesota, whatever, you're in the big leagues, right, or whatever, any days when you were single, and when a girl comes up to you, or you just converse, and she says, what do you do for a living? And then you tell her, you're humble about it. I play Major League Baseball. Their eyes, their optic nerves, does it light up like, oh, really? Is that how it was?
Of course, yeah. But that's the thing, though, Eddie. Is that the old the kangaroo court, whatever. When we find each other for the fun of it and stuff. If any of the veterans get wind of younger guys, especially a rookie, bragging about they hear him in the bar going, oh yeah, I'm a left-handed pitcher for the Pirates or the Twins or whatever, you're getting rung up in kangaroo court for that for sure, because
really?
Oh yeah. Like,
but she asked you, what do you do for a living? Come on now.
But they would bust my balls big time, something like that, because they would say something like, really, rookie? Like, geez, you're a good-looking guy. You can't pick up that girl just by telling her that, hey, I'm Denny and I'm a plumber, or I sell insurance or whatever.
Right. So, Denny, here's the thing, right? You get the call. You're going to the big leagues, right? For the Minnesota Twins. But listen, Tom Kelly, this guy's a legendary manager, right? I mean, are you a little scared? Like when you came up, you're like, oh my God, I got to make him a good impression. You know what I mean? Think about it. Psychologically, you're thinking like that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And TK was old school. You know, he could definitely be a little intimidating, and I was definitely intimidated by him, and you know, and just the veteran guys and stuff too. You know, because like you said, it's not like I didn't believe in myself. I knew I had, you know, one thing I never doubted, Eddie. You know, I didn't have when I was young. You know, I told the story the other day actually. When I was younger, I was that kid. You asked me like, you know, was I the star and everything. When I was really young, coming up through Little League and you know and playing in Babe Ruth leagues and all that stuff, I was the kid that everybody was afraid to face. I was the hard throwing lefty that you know that was making a name for himself in my area, and nobody could touch my fastball. And then when I was like 11 or 12 years old, I threw my arm out. You know, it was like it probably, who knows, it might have been, you know, maybe I even needed Tommy John back then, but that was even, I don't even know if Tommy John had even had that surgery yet, you know, to be honest with you. It might have been right before that. It was
Maybe they
right
just
about
started. Maybe they just started.
right about that
Yeah.
time. But, you know, needless to say, a 12-year-old kid, you know, whatever, you know, we didn't know what it was, but my dad took me to go see the orthopedic surgeon for the Baltimore Orioles at the time, this guy named Dr. Steele. And through x-rays and him, you know, manipulating my elbow and everything, he looked at me and he was like, you know, he looked at my dad and he was, Mr. Neagle, I wouldn't have him pitch again until he starts shaving. And I thought he was joking, you know, and I was like 12 and he was like, no, I'm serious. You know, he goes, I've seen this kind of case before. He needs time, like his growth plate and everything else, you know, and stuff. His body's got to grow into it and stuff. I wasn't the biggest of guys, but I could throw hard, you know, so he said, you know, you need to have him take 2 or 3 years off. I took about 2 years off. And then when I came back at that time, Eddie, I couldn't blow it by anybody anymore. I wasn't that guy that like was dominating, you know. So I had to. It's probably the worst thing and the best thing that ever happened to me as far as my pitching in my baseball life, you know, because as soon as I came back, I had to learn how to pitch, you know, right away at an early age, you know, because I wasn't that guy anymore. I wasn't the guy that could blow it by him and just reach back whenever I wanted, you know, and grab that little extra on my fastball and stuff. So that being said, you know, now that you know, flash forward now and stuff too, what I was just you know alluding to before is that you know one thing I never lacked in was my confidence. You know, I didn't have overpowering stuff, but I knew nobody could outgut me. You know, and so that was the one thing that I felt like could separate me from anybody else. I was never afraid to go out there and to fail or succeed. You know, and you got to take you got to learn both of those. You have to learn to fail as well as learn to succeed at the big league level and stuff too. But all that being said, it's still an intimidating thing. You walk in a locker room with Kirby Puckett, Kent Herbeck, and at that time, Jack Morris, Chili Davis. I mean, that team was loaded in 1991 with some really good veteran guys, you know, great veteran guys. I mean, I learned a lot from Jack Morris just watching. He was a quiet leader. He didn't say a whole lot, but I tell you what, man, I never seen somebody work his ass off harder than that guy did too, man. At that age, you know, he had already proven himself and is well on his way to a Hall of Fame career at that point, even. You know, pitched in a World Series in '84 with the Tigers. And, you know, as you know, in 91, he ended up, you know, he had that famous 10 shutout, you know, performance in Game 7 of the World Series. But that guy worked his ass off. Kirby Puckett, you know, same thing. Worked his tail off, but nobody had more fun in the game than that guy did. Chili Davis was one of the best things that ever happened to me. That guy taught me how to be a pro, man. Like on and off the field, what it meant to be a pro, you know, and, you know, just don't forget about the class of the game and respect the game and everything else. He really helped me and Scotty Erickson out a lot. But Tom Kelly, man, he was one of those old school managers where you really had to kind of prove yourself to him. You know, he didn't care like how good you were, how touted of a blue chip prospect you were and everything. You had to earn it. So, you know, he was tough on me, but it was a good thing. You know, I mean, I respected that because I remember years later, I pitched against him in an early morning game in spring training, I think when I was with Cincinnati. And, you know, by this time now I'm like 8, 9 years, you know, veteran in the big leagues. You know, he pulled me aside after the game and he was like, hey, Denny, you know, I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but he was like, you know, I just wanted to tell you, you know, I was a little tough on you when I was, you know, when you first came up and everything and stuff, whatever. But, you know, I hope you know it was nothing personal and stuff, whatever, you know. And I was like, Tom, I never felt like it was that way, you know. And he was like, well, I've kind of softened as I've gotten older a little bit now and everything, you know. And sometimes I reflect back and think maybe I was a little bit too hard on this guy or whatever. But, you know, he basically said that he respected the fact that I just, you know, I just took it in stride and took my lumps, you know, and never paid my dues and stuff. And that's what it was all about. I mean, you know, that's how it was when I came up. You know, you as a rookie, you kept your mouth shut. You went about your business. You listened to your, you know, the veteran guys on the team, respected the managers, and respected the game.
Right, right. But let me ask you this. Wow. When you say hard work from Jack Morris, give me an example. He's older at that time. I get it. He comes to the park. Let's say there's a 7. What'd you guys start off at? 7 p.m. or 7:30 back then?
Usually 7 o'clock, 7:05, seven
All
ten,
right.
something like
So
that.
7:10 on a pitching day, his day to start that day. What time did he come to the park?
You know, uh, I'm trying to think. To be honest with you, what I can really relate to it, or give you a better example is, it's not so much on like how early he gets to the park and things like that. What I saw was right from day one in spring training, right? So we do the PFPs, pitchers fielding practice on the backfields and stuff, right? And I've seen it. I've seen it. I played with guys that were like this, and stuff that you know, 10, 11, 12, 13-year veteran. Hey, he's paid his dues, and stuff, whatever. Who cares if he takes one play off on a backfield going over to cover first base on the bunt? That guy was busting his ass, hightailing it over there, first base, just breaking sweat, sweating his ass off. Every single bunt play, every single cover first, every comebacker, every turn to double play, you know, that's where I first started seeing it, Eddie. I was like, good God, man, this guy works his tail off, man. And so that's to me is where I saw the difference of like, there's a guy that, man, like, he's still hungry and he gets it, man. And, he never takes anything for granted, and so yeah, but I mean, putting in the film work, and stuff too. I mean, certainly he was definitely a guy that would be there early, going over the charts, with his catcher and stuff, mentally preparing and stuff too. But, that guy was as tough as there were mentally that I've ever seen also too, as a pitcher.
Okay, okay. Now I understand now. All right. There you go. Now, so you get called up, right? And the first batter you face, am I correct? Is it what's his name? Paul Molitor?
Paul Molitor.
And he went to University of Minnesota too, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so you come in, right? You're like, holy shit, Paul Molitor, right? What are you thinking, man?
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, it was crazy, because yeah, both of us being from the University of Minnesota, I've already known Paul because I got to know him through like the alumni events at the University of Minnesota. My head baseball coach from the University of Minnesota was at the game. So, he had a lot riding on the game, watching both of us. He's really good friends with Paul and stuff, but obviously I think, he was pulling for both of us. The ultimate outcome would be, maybe Paul goes 2 for 3 and, but I get the win or something, or
Right.
pitch going to get a no decision, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I mean, it was crazy enough, Eddie, just to be able to come up and face the Milwaukee Brewers, who at that time were the crosstown rivals, same division, whatever, the Minnesota Twins. And there was, the Twins were in first place at the time, and so there was 53,000 people, packed house in the Metrodome. So that was already crazy enough and intimidating enough. Now I'm facing future Hall of Famer Paul Molitor, fellow Golden Gopher, and he proceeds to lace a freaking missile into left field for a base hit off me. I think he hit it about 125 miles an hour into left field. That's that guy, one of the quickest bats I've ever seen. But
Lightning hands,
like,
man.
unbelievable, man. You talk about it, just one of the greatest baseball players. This is some of the other day, some site on Facebook or something was comparing, they're like, here's an interesting one you never think about. And they compared Molitor's numbers to Derek Jeter's numbers. It's pretty crazy when you look at the comparison, if it wasn't for a couple of his injuries that he had over his career, he was right up there, man, almost across the board. In fact, he was better than Jeter on a few of the numbers and stuff. So people tend to forget like how good his damn career was.
Yeah.
But I tell you, that whole first start was crazy eventful for me. So Paul Molitor's the first guy. He laced the base hit. Willie Randolph is my first big league strikeout. I give up my first big league home run that game to Dale Swain. Career, good.
Out of all the players, he wasn't a home run threat, was he?
He had a couple years, dude, where he would pop like 24, 25 bombs.
Hold on a minute. I guarantee you probably left a changeup up in the zone and he tanked it. Am I correct or
I'm
no?
pretty sure it was a high changeup.
All right, there you go. You left it up in the zone and he said, you know what? See ya.
It was definitely up. So I remember he tomahawked it out of there. Yep.
Oh, okay.
But then, and then I don't know if you know, but then the ultimate happened. I'm winning the game. I think it was 2-1 in the third or fourth inning, and Candy Maldonado comes up. And, that guy was intimidating, too. He's a big boy. And he hit a freaking missile about the same thing, about 110 miles an hour, coming right back at my forehead. He hit it so fast that the only thing I could do, Eddie, like I had just enough time to go like this. I couldn't get my glove up because when I follow through, my glove's down here. So only thing I could do is put my arm up like that. It hit just missed the point of my elbow, so it hit like right there. And the Metrodome, the dugouts were pretty far away from the pitcher's mound. You know, it's a pretty big stadium as far as foul territory and stuff. So it's not like the dugouts were close. It took like 2 hops and went into our dugout because I'm looking for the ball trying to make the play. I had no idea where it went, but it hit so hard off my elbow that it took 2 hops and ricocheted into our dugout. And so then once I realized, I couldn't make the play, all of a sudden my arm just locks up and it's just like shaking and zinging, and I sort of I thought I made my first and last start, that day in the big leagues because it was, the pain that kicked in after that point. And then the worst part is too, the locker rooms are like a really long walk from the dugouts all the way up there. They're like all the way up in the Metrodome
I see
where our locker
picture.
rooms were.
You see the picture I posted right there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've been at that stadium in '97 for a game. So, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So, but, again, so the dugouts are so far and the locker rooms are so far that they have time to show the replay about 4 or 5 times over again on the big screen. And all I can hear is 53,000 people going, "Oh God," because it did not look pretty, man, how it hit my elbow and stuff. My mom about passed out. My dad about, puked in the stands because they thought the same thing, that my career started and ended on the same day. Thank God, man. Like I said, it missed the point of my elbow by like a half an inch. The doctor said had it hit the point, it might have just shattered the elbow and exploded, and I could have had just shards of bone all throughout my arm and stuff. So thank God it ended up being just a bad bone bruise, and I only missed, I was on the 15-day ADL, and that was it.
That's it, 15 days.
That's it. Yep, I'm a tough son of a bitch, man.
Oh, yes, you are. Oh, my God. So, the 91 team, the Twins go all the way. I mean, they win it. Kirby Puckett with that memorable home run off, I guess it was Charlie Leibrandt.
Charlie Leibrandt, yep.
Yeah. He hit that home run, and it was clutch. The Braves were stacked, too, as you can see. But you didn't get a ring that year. I don't understand why. I mean, what is it? Just because you're not on the World Series roster doesn't mean you shouldn't get a ring. I mean, Sean Green, when I interviewed him, he when the Blue Jays won the World Series in '92, I think he was the first-round pick that year, I think. 92 or 91, one of those years. He got a ring. So I should call your organization right now and say, hey, my boy deserves a rock. Come on now.
I'll tell you, Eddie, it is one of those weird things, at the time, I said, oh, well, who cares, and stuff. And I still, I harbor no ill feelings towards the Twins or anything like that. But it is one of those weird things to me. And here's why. Because, most organizations, like you said, are like that, like the Blue Jays were. If you even get like 2 days or 1 day in the big leagues, they call you up for 1 day, you make a spot start, let's say. And then let's say you never even get called back up. Pretty much every other organization will give that guy a World Series ring, because you were up for 1 day in the big leagues with them that year. For whatever reason, the Twins only gave it to pretty much the guys that were on the postseason roster, or there was a couple other guys, because I wasn't the only one. Pedro Munoz was a really good, right-hand hitting outfielder at that time. Pedro was up for I want to say about 80 games and hit 315 with 7 bombs and 30 ribbies, but they left him off the playoff roster because they ended up keeping a guy named Jarvis Brown, who was a really good base dealer. They wanted the pinch runner, So, but Pedro didn't get a ring. Paul Abbott pitched for a while with the Mariners, and it came up, but we came up together too. I think Paul went 4-2, and with a 3.9 ERA, had 40 innings pitched, didn't get a ring. I think maybe Paul Sorrento. I don't think he was on. I can't. There was a couple other guys like that, like myself. I pitched 22 innings or whatever, and so, but they gave rings to every single minor league trainer and coach and stuff, whatever, that year, because they said, and I quote, well, these guys help these players, move along and get to the big leagues, and the guys that are now on the playoff roster, these coaches and trainers and everything help them get to that point. And I'm like, yeah, but didn't Pedro and myself and Paul and everybody kind of help out the team this year too while we were actually on the team? So I don't know. It was just weird, man. It was just one of those decisions that the organization made that, and because in the whole scheme of things, is it really saving that much money? What, 3 or 4 more World Series rings?
Yeah. Is it the same ownership since 91?
I don't know if that guy still. Carl Pohlad was the guy that owned the Twins at that time and owned them for years. I'm pretty sure, I'd have to look it up, Eddie, but I'm pretty sure he passed away since. But I don't know if it's his family that still owns it or that owns the team or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. What did you learn from Kirby Puckett, man? He's one of my favorite players, man. This guy, like, it's too bad he went down, man. It's was it Martinez that hit him in the eye?
Yes.
The baseball,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Dennis Martinez, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And I actually had the pleasure because since I went to University of Minnesota, Kirby and some of the other twins would come over and work out with the baseball team at University of Minnesota in the wintertime. And he actually would come in the batting cages, our indoor facility and stuff, whatever, and get some hacks off us. Now, I remember having to face him, when I was like a freshman even too, and he was good friends with my college baseball coach. And right away, I was known for having that changeup, the circle changeup. And I used to watch Frank Viola throw it over and over with the Twins back then. And I'm like, man, watching him have that success with it, it made me want to perfect the pitch and learn it even that much more. So I remember one of the first times I faced Kirby in the cages, at our indoor facility. John Anderson was our head coach, still is the head coach of Minnesota, but we all called him 14. He wears number 14. So I remember Kirby going, "Oh shit, 14. Is this that young Frankie Viola, little Frankie Viola wannabe right here?" He goes, "All right, let's see what that changeup looks like." And I remember I threw him a couple. He goes, "Oh shit, yeah, he does got a changeup on him." But so I got to know him pretty well and ended up playing some pickup basketball with him at the old Williams Arena where the Gophers played basketball and stuff, whatever. So I was fortunate enough that I actually already knew Kirby before I even got drafted by the Twins. So then now getting drafted by them and being a teammate with him and stuff. The one thing that I will say that you learn about Kirby Puckett is that, again, the guy he worked his tail off, man. He was a hard worker too, but he personified knowing how to have fun in the game of baseball and the game of life also too, man. You saw with that guy, he always had the biggest smile on his face, man. I mean, he just genuinely loved to play the game of baseball, man. And so, and that's how I always felt too, Eddie, is that, I used to tell the media that, like, look, man, we're playing a kid's game, getting paid stupid amount of money to do it. How can you not have fun doing this? And so that's why I used to take that page out of Kirby's book too, man, that bust your butt, get your work in, but also don't forget to have fun while you're doing it.
How big was he? I mean, his height wise.
He was the human bowling ball. That's what we called him. I think he might have been listed at like 5'7", but I think he was lucky that he might have been 5'6", 5'7".
Wait a minute, 5'7" with his spikes on.
Yeah, you're right, with the spikes on.
Oh, all right, so we can subtract two more.
Let's say he was 5'6", 235. Like, he looked like an NFL fullback, man.
Kirby, man, wow. I mean, when I was a kid, I would say, "Yo, this guy's special, man.
Oh,
this guy is special."
Yes, I mean, could do it all too. I mean, a true 5-tool player as well too, without a doubt.
Danny, when you got called up, who welcomed you in the clubhouse? Was Kirby like, you again, huh? You're here now. Was he that guy?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kirby was because he was definitely always one of the first one there. So if I recall, I'm pretty sure he was definitely one of the first ones to say hi. And, he had the famous story. I know Mike Trombley shared this not that long ago, and it went viral on some social media sites. But Kirby did the same thing to me when I first got called up too. With my first big league paycheck I got, whatever, I don't remember how, let's say it was like $8,000, something like that back then, because the league minimum back then, when I first got called up in 91, I think it was still at like 68 or 72,000 for a rookie for the league minimum. It went up like that next year, I think, but I'm pretty sure it was no more than like maybe 72, 78,000, something like that. And then, so I think mine was even prorated. So my first check was like $7 or $8 grand or something like that. And I'm excited as hell, man. I hadn't seen that kind of money, whatever. Kirby looks over at me. First big league paycheck, kid? I go, yeah, man. He goes, whips out a wad of money. He goes, here, you want me to cash it for you?
Wow. Kirby,
I go, man, that's cold, man.
I love it, man. So now you leave the Twins, right? What happened? They called you and they said, "Listen, buddy, we're trading you," or what is it?
Spring training in '92. This was the first and only time in my career, because I was traded two more times after that, but this was the only time ever that I got traded, and I had heard no rumors, nothing. I didn't get a phone call from my agent. There was nothing in the press, in the papers or anything like that. Of course, this is way before social media, but we still had Baseball America and Sports Illustrated and USA Today and stuff like that. There was nothing. I mean, like I said, my agent never called me once saying, hey, I'm hearing some rumblings. I'm on the field. We're doing PFP again, pitcher's fielding practice on the backfield in spring training. And Tom Kelly yells to Dick Such, our pitching coach, hey, Such, send me Neagle. So, of course, the veterans on the team are going, oh, shit, what'd you get into last night, kid? Whatever. I'm like, I was in bed at like 9 o'clock last night, man. I didn't do shit. But I'm thinking the same thing. What the fuck did I do, man? And so Kelly pulls me over and puts his arm around me and he says, son, Mr. Andy McPhail was the general manager. He goes, Mr. McPhail's just informed me that we traded you to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I was like, what? You're joking, right? He goes, no, son, we definitely, we had to pull the string on this. And he goes, just so you know, this is kind of against our, because actually, Eddie, too, the 91 postseason, right before the World Series, there was a big article in the Minneapolis Star and Tribune, previewing the World Series, but then they also talked about the future of Minnesota Twins baseball. And Andy McPhail was on record as saying, look, all I know is that I learned from my dad a long time ago in this, because his dad, Lee McPhail, I think, whatever, was big G, executive in the game. He said, I learned from my dad a long time ago in this game that you win and die with your pitching. And one thing I will never do is trade away my good young pitching. So, we're in good hands with Neagle, Pat Mahomes, Willie Banks, Scott Erickson, Kevin Tapani, all these. We had some really, really good young pitchers in that organization. So that's the last thing I remember him even saying too. I just come off winning 20 wins in the minor leagues the year before and stuff. So it was just a shock. Like I said, I had no other word. I was just shocked. The good thing is that I was pretty excited though too, because number one, I got traded for John Smiley, who was coming off a 20-win season the year before for the Pirates. So the Pirates thought a lot of me to want me in the trade for their 20-game winner. And my mom was from the Pittsburgh area, grew up a huge Steelers and Pirates fan. Her dad, who passed away, unfortunately, when she was young, but he was a Pittsburgh police officer. He used to work games at the old Forbes Field and was diehard Steelers and Pirates fan himself and everything. So my mom and her side of the family were really excited for me to go to Pittsburgh.
Now, tell me the difference between Jimmy Leland and Tom Kelly. And I want you to be honest.
Oh, I'll be totally honest. So the one similarity was they were both old school in the fact that you kind of had to earn their respect a little bit, because I remember early on when I first got over there, I just wasn't sure what to, I'm the type, Eddie, I have that personality that I want everybody to love me, and that was something that it was a tough thing to get used to being a big league ball player, is that Brett Favre, I remember Brett Favre said this on Bob Costas' show that he did. I can't remember if he was done playing at that time or not, but he said an interesting thing that he goes, Bob, one thing that took me a while to learn was that, there's going to be huge Brett Favre fans out there. No matter what I do, I could do the worst thing in the world, but my fans are still going to love me. Then there's going to be fans out there, no matter how much good I do, it doesn't matter. They're going to hate me, Right. And he goes, and then there's going to be another handful that they could care less about Brett Favre, and he goes, but it took me a while to learn that, because he said the same thing. He goes, I wanted everybody to love me. And that's what I struggled with, man. I had that personality where I'm like, hey, why doesn't this guy like me? And so it took me a while to figure out, like, why doesn't Leland like me, and stuff. And Rich Donnelly was the third base coach with us, with the Pirates. Great baseball guy. And I remember one time finally, a couple years into my career with the Pirates, he pulled me aside in spring training. He goes, Denny, you realize that the way they called him Humper, that was one of his nicknames, because he loved Engelbert Humperdinck. Leland, that shows you so much about his personality and his character. But so he said, you realize that Humper loves you, right? And I go, well, shit, Rich, he's got a really weird way of showing it, man, the way he's always riding my ass and everything. He goes, Denny, he's riding your ass because he thinks the world of you, and he thinks you've got so much more potential that you haven't even tapped into yet. So he's riding you because he's trying to get that out of you, man. Don't think for a second that he doesn't like you. And, man, that made a world of difference for me, to be honest with you, Eddie, because like I said, I had that personality where I'm like, damn it, man, why doesn't this guy like me? I want him to like me. But that's all it was. He was just trying to get the best out of me. And from that day on, man, it was like I felt like it was a really big thing that Rich helped me out with, that I turned the corner on that, and I started learning that, look, man, just because maybe a guy's hard on you, whether it's a coach or whoever, even it could be somebody from the media even, that maybe he's, a little bit hard on you, writing up on you, how you pitch or whatever and stuff. That was always a little bit easier for me, to be honest with you, because I always told people nobody was going to be the worst critic than myself. Nobody's going to be harder on me than I was on myself. Even when I had good games, I would still pick out, maybe the 2 or 3, base hits that I gave up, or the 1 run that I gave up I shouldn't have given up, or something like that. But Leland, man, he was tough like that. But once I earned his respect, and stuff, and then, we really started hitting it off and really became tight, and stuff. He's a character though too, man. I mean, that guy's funny, man. God, is he funny? Just the dry sense of humor and stuff. And then he'd be sitting there, back in the day where he would just, right, just past the, the view of the cameras. Sometimes he was even on cameras. He'd be smoking a cigarette in the corner of the dugout and stuff, But he loved to have fun in the game though too, man. That guy was a great guy.
And you know what's crazy? He never played in the major leagues.
Nope. Some of the best, to me, I always laugh at that though too, because it's like, swing coaches in the PGA Tour, how many swing coaches, how many swing coaches did Tiger Woods have that have they ever been like, Masters winners or, tournament winners themselves, or even played even one season on the PGA Tour, Yeah. Some of the best managers, ironically end up being catchers because, the catchers are kind of like pitchers. They're sort of like the quarterbacks on the team too. They get to see the whole game unfold in front of them. So it just seems like it's funny how, Leland, Tony La Russa, and Bobby Cox and these guys, were former catchers in the minor league. Joe Madden, yep. But, if you're a good baseball guy, man, you're a good baseball guy. And you don't have to necessarily be a great player to understand the game.
Well, but here's the thing, sometimes like when you have legendary players like Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., you notice they can't really coach, man. They can't really coach.
Nope. Absolutely. I mean, because to me, honestly, because I'm a varsity pitching coach now at my son's old high school. He already graduated. He's a freshman at University of Arizona, not playing baseball anymore. But I was supposed to only do it for a couple of years just while my son was in high school. But I fell in love with the game all over again, helping these kids out and stuff, And to me, I've learned also too that I feel like more than 50% of being a good coach is being relatable and knowing how to relate to the players. And I don't care what age that is. I don't care if it's at the little league, at the high school level, minor leagues, big leagues. If you can't relate to these guys, and that's why I feel like the best managers I ever played for are guys that understand that sometimes they also have to learn to bend with the times, whether it's, these days now, bending with the times as far as learning analytics and how that plays a part in the game and stuff, I'm sure we'll get into that also too, but also too, just like Bobby Cox, Eddie, like with all due respect to every manager that I played for, I'm not trying to jump too far ahead of you here, but without a doubt, Bobby was my favorite manager, and that says a lot because I have the utmost respect for every manager that I played for. But Bobby was he literally was a second father to all of us guys that played for him at that time. And by the end of his coaching career, he literally was like a second grandfather to those kids, because there were some young kids, but Bobby knew how to adjust with the times and relate to these kids and stuff, And so it really is an underrated thing, I think, to being a good manager / coach.
When you were on the Pirates, I had a great conversation with Barry Bonds one time. It was at a Little League park in L.A., and we were just talking for 2 hours. And I couldn't believe the fact that he was so good to me, man. He was so nice. And I said to myself, how come everybody buries him? This guy was charismatic guy, sat right near me. But you know how I set it up? Check this out, Danny. I was in L.A., right? Because, I'm an actor, so I'm auditioning. And then in the afternoon, I give batting lessons to the Little League, right? So then I saw him. And I was wearing a Yankee jacket, March at night, California weather, it gets a little cool. And he gave me an urban hug. And I'm like, oh, shit, okay. He thought I was one of the parents, right? So I said, yo, buddy, man, you look familiar from somewhere. He goes, oh, yeah? I was like, yeah, man. He goes, what do you think? I'm like, oh, shit. You're that lefty from Arizona State, right? He goes, you New Yorkers, you know how to fuck with people, huh? I'm like, oh, come on, Barry, wasn't that good? He goes, yeah, have a seat. Let's shoot the shit. So, really great guy, man. Classic stories, just shooting the shit like I'm shooting the shit with you. Yep. Now, you were his teammate. A lot of people buried him. Why?
I think here's the best way I can say, because Eddie, I relate the same way, man. Whenever everybody always asks me, that's usually some of the top questions I always get when they find out, I was teammates with Barry or Greg Maddox and guys like that. What was Maddox like? What was Barry Bonds like? And stuff. And whenever anybody asks me about Bonds, I tell them the same thing. I'm like, look, I love the guy. he was great. I was a rookie. I was still a rookie. I still had rookie status in 92 because I came up in 91, but I still had rookie status in 92 with the Pirates. And Barry was great to me. There was a bar called the Clark Bar right next to Three River Stadium, right? You walked right across the street from it. And actually Mike LaValliere and John Smiley and John Cangelosi were all part owners in the sports bar restaurant. So it was like it became known as the Pirates Hangout. We would just go over there right after the games and stuff. And we had a private room in the back. We had a pool table and stuff that was just for the players only. And it's kind of like, again, it's known if you're a rookie and I'm in there and I got me and my brother and a couple friends, and now here comes Barry Bonds or Michael Vallier or Bob Walk, whatever. Hey, you give up the room to the veteran guy, right? And I remember one time I was coming back from the bathroom, and my brother and I had gone to the bathroom, but I left my brother and a couple of his buddies that were in town in that room, and I get back and they're like, "Holy shit, dude! Barry Bonds just came in." I go, "Oh shit, dude! You gave up the room to him, right?" He goes, "No," but he goes, "Denny, it was awesome." He goes, "At first," he goes, "Who the hell are you guys?" And then he said, without even hesitating, my brother looks exactly like me. He's 5 years younger, but he's my twin. And all of a sudden he goes, "Oh shit, wait a minute, you're little Neagle, aren't you?" He goes, "No, man, you guys are good, man. Go ahead, man. Just let me know. Tell your brother, let me know when you guys are done in here." And dude, you know what I mean? Like if he was going to be a dick, he could have said, "No, out, man. It's mine. It's mine. I'm the veteran. I'm pulling rank right here." But Barry was always great to me that way, Eddie. I never had a bad thing to say about him, man. When my dad would come on some trips from time to time, on some family trips, he was great with my dad. My dad's a big fan of the game of baseball, so he would go nuts, hanging out, talking with Barry, asking for some autographs and stuff. And Barry would always oblige and stuff. I think, to be honest with you, Eddie, the only thing I can say is that what I ever did witness was that, there was on occasion where, let's say we were going to Cincinnati, right? We just got done playing in Pittsburgh or New York or wherever. Let's say we're going to Cincinnati and we get there at like 3 or 4 in the morning because we had a night game in New York or whatever. And so it's 3 in the morning and there's like maybe a dozen people still hanging out at the hotel waiting to get a couple autographs, right? With their kids and stuff. There could be those times where Barry would be like, "Man, get out of my face, man. I'm not signing, man. I'm going to bed," whatever, like that, and stuff. But it wasn't like he was flat out trying to be the biggest ass, whatever, something like that. Sometimes it's just because he's Barry, and he literally is just tired and he wants to go to bed. Now, that being said, would it taken, 2 minutes out of your day to just sign, those 7 autographs for a dad and three sons or whatever, or like Barry would say, "Man, you guys just going to sell this stuff anyways," whatever, Well, who cares, right? I always laughed at that one. A lot of fellow teammates and former colleagues of mine, I used to hear that line all the time. "Oh, those guys are just selling it anyways." And I'd be like, who cares? I mean, wouldn't you rather these guys be selling baseball cards than like slinging rock down the corner to like the kids or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, they're making an honest living selling baseball cards. Who gives a shit what they're going to do with it? So I think that's why Barry would sometimes get that bad reputation, because he could be a little standoffish sometimes with some fans and everything. And sometimes, though, Eddie, it could be something as simple as you caught him on a bad day. We all have days like that.
Well, that's the thing, that when I was a kid, I was smart, because if I wanted an autograph, I'm like, well, how do you do that day? If you went 0 for 4, I'm not going to ask. There's no way. He's especially a pitcher. If he gets shelled and they took him out after the second, third inning, you're like, all right, you know what? Let's not ask him. Now, if they have a good day, that's when I'd be like, "Yo, buddy, you had a great day. Come on now." They're like, all right, here you go. And then how I would get baseballs when I'm taking batting practice, I would know like what high school or what college they went to, and I would say like, well, Paul O'Neill, I'd be like, "Yo, Columbus, Ohio." It's like, oh shit, he throws a baseball right at me. I'm like, all right. So even umpires, even their first names, when I'm like, "Yo, Joe West" or whatever, they were like, "Oh shit, here you go, son." So that's how I got my baseballs and autographs when I was a kid.
Dropping the "You're the lefty from ASU" on Barry.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Nobody ever said that to him, right? Yep. People were like, "Oh yeah, you're Barry Bonds. You played baseball." I'm like, "Yeah, you're the lefty." We joked around, man. We had a great time, But Denny, in batting practice, was he that lightning quick? Like, did you watch him?
Best hitter I've ever seen. Best pure, and not just because again, people forget. Yeah, yes, he had the power, absolutely. But you talk about quick hands again too. The way he had that, just really quick right there. I mean, you couldn't get the fastball by him on the inside part of the plate. But yeah, and then he stood right on top of that inside, right on top of the inside corner, so you couldn't beat him away. I mean, his when you missed, you had to miss in that perfect spot. Otherwise, he was going to beat you. And just the knowledge that he has overall, because you talk to any of these guys, man, that have actually worked with him, and stuff. And when Barry talks hitting and stuff, it's like the old E.F. Hutton commercials. When he talks, people listen, because he knows what
Oh
the hell
yeah.
he's talking.
But you know what I noticed about Barry Bonds too, because I would watch his mechanics. Now you're a Virgo just like I am, so we do analyze like crazy, right? I'm sure you look
Yep.
at your videos and like, okay, was my hand this way? Did the
Oh, yeah.
changeup fall this way? I mean, you do all that crazy shit. But I'll tell you one thing: his weight distribution, he would never go forward. Every
Yep.
time he would hit the ball, that head was right here. It would
Perfectly
not go
balanced.
perfectly balanced. He had the best balance. And let me tell you something right now. There's no other lefties. When you throw him 6 inches inside, he could keep the ball in fair territory.
And exactly. Everybody else is hooking that thing foul. Yep.
Everyone's hooking it. Even Ken Griffey Jr. would hook it.
Yep.
But Barry
Absolutely.
kept that shoulder in and stayed in the zone for a long time and just booyah. And I was like, wow, man.
And not just, and like you said too, on that same note, not just to keep it fair also too, but like most lefties, because most lefties, the old rule of thumb was you don't want to miss down and into a lefty because that's their power stroke, right? Most lefties have that sweet low swing, Will Clark, Ken Griffey Jr., that prototypical, for some reason, all lefties love that down and in pitch. Well, Barry, he certainly could hit the down and in pitch, but the up and in pitch too, because like we were just talking about, how he kept it so level and so balanced that you could not beat him up and in either too. Where most lefties, man, if you hit that spot up and in, you were going to beat them there. You couldn't beat Barry up and in.
And then if you throw him away, he's going to hit it to left center. He didn't give a shit.
Yep.
Wow. Barry Bonds, unreal. So now, here's the thing. You play for the Pirates. Where do you go after Pittsburgh?
Man, that was another crazy one too. So I go from getting traded to the Pirates and not, like I said, not hearing any word of it, so it came out of nowhere, to now, I'm rumored to get traded to like 8 different teams, when I'm close to the end of my tenure with the Pirates. Because I had a meeting with Cam Bonifay at the time, who was the general manager at the time, and he just told me point blank and said, "Look, Denny, we want to re-sign you." And the owner actually, the guy Kevin McClatchy owned the team at the time. He loved me and he wanted to re-sign me. But if they re-sign me, it was going to be me and all the young guys. They were going to rebuild around me being the leader of the pitching staff. So I appreciated Cam Bonifay being honest with me, and I said, "Well, Cam, if that's the case, I kind of like to go somewhere and win now. I don't want to go through a whole another 4 or 5 year rebuilding process. We've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years now. I'd like to win." So he's like, "Okay, Denny, that's fine. I appreciate your honesty too." And I said, my only request is that if you trade me, I'd like to stay in the National League. I like to hit. I love the National League style of play. And he said, "I think you'll be happy where you end up." So I think he kind of knew at that time, but the rumors were I was going to go to Cleveland, because Cleveland was offering, get this, Eddie, they were offering like Bartolo Colon, Brian Giles, and like Julio Taveras. I mean, Taveras was a stud, up and coming young, fireball, ended up having a great career. Brian Giles, hell of a career. And Bartolo Colon, we all know what he ended up doing. They were offering those 3 guys for me, man. As far as I know, that's what I had heard the rumor was for the trade with them. So there, I had heard different names being thrown in there. I had heard, I didn't know that was the exact offer they were doing, but I heard those guys' names being thrown in. So I'm thinking, well, shit, I'm going to Cleveland. It wasn't gonna be the worst thing. Cleveland was a great team at that time. They were the other team of the '90s, along with the Braves, from the American League back then. But there was rumors, the Mets, I think, and the Red Sox, a couple other teams, and I hadn't really heard the Braves, because why would I think of going to the Braves? They've got Maddux, Glavine, Smoltz, and Steve Avery. But Steve Avery was dealing with some shoulder issues at the time, and they felt like they needed to bolster their pitching staff a little bit. So lo and behold, that was, talk about another crazy thing though. I pitched in Pittsburgh against Atlanta, beat Smoltz 2-1 that night, and then the next day I get traded to the Pirates. Traded from the Pirates to the Braves. So now I've got to change locker rooms the next day and go into, at the old Three River Stadium, you go down the one tunnel and you go right to the home side, left to the visiting side. I went right, started going, just force a habit, and I'm like, oh shit, wait, I got to go to the left. So I remember I walk into the clubhouse, and Terry Pendleton is, the veteran guy on the team, and again, Kangaroo Court. He goes, oh shit, there he is. All right, let me get the fine book out. Let's see, you struck me out twice last night. that's $100. You struck Chipper out twice last night. That's another 100. Smoltz is going for the Cy Young. You gave him only his third loss of the season. I think that's 200. And earlier that year, when I pitched against him in Atlanta, that was the year David Justice dislocated his shoulder. It was off a changeup off of me. I threw him a changeup. He was so far out in front, and he always kind of had that. He let go of the top hand, and he did the helicopter thing, and he ended up popping his shoulder out, dislocated his shoulder, missed the rest of the season. So he goes, "You knocked Justice out for the rest of the year. I think that's $1,000 right there." I'm like, "That's fine, man. Go ahead, put me down for it." He goes, "I'm just kidding, kid, man. Welcome to the team, man."
So you came on the team in 1996?
Yes.
Okay, so it was what, in the beginning of the season or mid-season?
No, it was actually, that was the other reason why it was crazy, because it was actually after the trade deadline. I got traded like August 25th. You can get traded still. You just have to clear waivers.
Wait, August 25th, 1996?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
With a stacked team with the Braves like that?
With a stacked team, I made up 94 games in the standings, because we were like 30 games over, or we were like 30 games over, 30 games under 500, or maybe even 40, and the Braves were like 40 games over 500.
Oh,
so that was crazy. But so it's just, it doesn't happen much. When they traded for Fred McGriff, the same thing happened, because I don't know if you remember, he said, obviously the trade deadline, the reason why they had that is you can make any trade up until then. Nobody has to clear waivers and all that stuff. Now what happens though is every team will put all their guys, their whole roster, through waivers, right? Just to kind of once after that deadline, just to kind of see, and then teams can claim people. So like anybody could have claimed me when I went through waivers. But the crazy thing is that those guys that I got traded for, Jason Schmidt was the young stud right-hander that ended up being in the trade for me. But him and the other guys that got traded from the Braves, they had to clear waivers also too. But the reason why I cleared was nobody ever thought that I was going to get traded, because that's standard protocol. Every team puts almost all their guys through waivers, and then they'll see like, okay, the Red Sox knew, or let's say the Mets were the competition for the Braves that year. The Mets claimed Neagle because they were afraid that there was rumors out there he might get traded to the Braves. Nobody claimed me because nobody thought for a minute that I was going to get traded, let alone to the Braves.
Oh my God. So now with the Braves, listen, you guys are stacked, man. You guys, I didn't see any holes on that team. Not one hole. Strong bullpen, strong closer, strong pitching staff, with you on the team too. And I'm like, how's this team going to lose?
I know.
So now you guys make it to the World Series, but hold on a minute. I just want to know. In 96, who did you guys beat to get to the World Series?
So we beat the Dodgers in the first round, and then we were down 3-1 in the NLCS against St. Louis.
That's right.
And came back and beat them 4-3. That was a fun series, man, to come back and win that one.
All right, so Danny, did you guys party afterwards after winning the National League championship game? Like, did you guys
Not
go
really.
anywhere? Oh, so you guys stayed in?
Yep, not really, because that team was very businesslike, and they had gotten to the point at that point. They had come so close in the early 90s, losing Game 7 to the Twins, Game 6 in 92 to the Blue Jays, losing NLCS in 93,
to the
the
Phillies.
strike in 94, and then finally win it in 95. So by the time I get over there in 96, this is like old habit for them, and anything short of another World Series is a subpar year for them. So even though it was incredible, to come back from 3-1, and even the guys that have been through the ringer with them, especially the Maddux, Glavine, Smoltz, Chipper, and all those guys and stuff, whatever, it was still, you could sense that like kind of business, like, hey, we still got work to do, So we took that night, sprayed the champagne in the clubhouse, and I think we went out and had a couple drinks, Eddie, but nothing crazy for real, because it was so businesslike, like I said, that anything short of another World Series was going to be a letdown for that team.
All right, so now here you have it. You get to the World Series, the big stage, baby, all right? You're in Yankee Stadium. God, what a nightmare those first two games. Me being a diehard Yankee fan, I'm like, these guys are abusing us. They're destroying us. I mean, the first two games, you guys just destroyed us.
Yeah.
Now, you going back on the plane. Are you guys thinking, oh, we got this? Or did Bobby Cox say, hey, guys, it's not over yet? I mean, psychologically, talk to me about that. After being
Yeah.
up to nothing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd be lying if I didn't say that. Sure, there was definitely an air of confidence on that team. Everybody was loosey goosey, having a great plane ride home. Having fun and everything. But certainly not to the point because, like you said, Bobby Cox would have never let us do that. Never let us get too carried away thinking we got this in the bag or anything. Because the minute you think that, the minute you're screwed in this game. I don't care who you are in any professional sport. And so. But we certainly, obviously, we're feeling pretty damn good about our chances and stuff. Because anytime you can go into the other team's park, usually the goal is to win one game, right? You got 2 games there. If you can win one, you're setting yourself up for good. But you go in and you win 2 like we did and win it convincingly, like you said, we were certainly feeling pretty damn good. But, not to the point where we felt like we had it made or anything like that. Because we knew they had David Cohn getting ready to go for Game 3, and Coney had, he had obviously earned his medal and proven his worth in the postseason, but especially in the World Series. That guy was always a big game pitcher. One of my favorite guys in baseball too. And yeah, so I mean, we had Glavine going, so we certainly felt great with that. I mean, that was a great matchup and stuff. But I mean, we knew it was far from over because because they had Cone, because Pettit was coming, was going to be coming back, and we knew he was hungry, and stuff too. And just with that whole team they had over there, man, that was a damn good ball club. So at no point did we certainly felt confident, but not cocky and overconfident.
Right. So who is it? Coney wins. And by the way, with David Cohn, I would go to war with him. He's one of my favorite pitchers.
100%.
You cannot take him out. You gotta literally get him out. I mean, he's like 150 pitches. I don't care. I'm finishing this game. Right. That's how he was. So Game 4. Now here's the thing, Danny. You started that game. You were up 6-0, but did you give up the 3 runs, 6-3?
I gave up 3. Yeah, I gave up 3 to start. Yeah, because I threw 5 scoreless. And here's one story. I share this with my son too, man. This is one of my big regrets, man. Like in my professional career, is that game. Speaking of Kirby Puckett, when I was on deck because it's at home, so National League, still at the time when pitchers hit in the National League Park in the World Series, and I remember being on deck and Kirby sitting right in the front row because he was getting the Roberto Clemente Man of the Year award, right? So they were about to honor him on the field right after like the 5th inning. So I remember coming up to bat, and I'd already thrown 5 scoreless. So I'm getting ready to come up to bat in the bottom of the 5th, and I'm sitting there, and I look over, and he looks at me, and I wink at him and smile, and he goes, "Hey, look, come on, you're like, stay locked in, And I'm like, and I just kind of winked at him, like, I got this, man, But he was right. I let my guard down, Eddie. He was right, man, because I started, and that was not like me, man. I was that type. Throughout my whole career, my teammates always laughed at me because I was a big jokester, playing pranks and everything on the 4 days in between my starts. But on the day I pitched, I was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, man. That I flipped that switch, and it was my time. I had that one day to get locked in, man. Don't talk to me. Don't fuck with me. I put my headphones on, man, and I'm a whole different person on the day I pitch. And for some reason, at one of the biggest parts, biggest times in my career, I let my guard down. And I kind of felt like I took it out to the mound that next inning, and I wasn't locked in. I kind of I didn't stay locked in like I knew I should have, and it cost me, because I went out there and I didn't have my good stuff, and and I felt like I made a couple pitches because I just wasn't like focused in. Because again, remember I told you like I could outgut somebody, but I knew how to pitch, Eddie, and I felt laser focused every time I was out there, and I felt like I just dropped my guard down for just enough that I let the door open a little bit, and I wasn't as precise on my pitches and stuff, and it cost me. So I end up Mike Bielecki, who was lights out for us in the bullpen that year. He came in with like bases loaded, nobody. I'd already given up like 1 or 2 runs, and then I think he let up 1 run maybe, or God, Eddie, he might even got out of the bases loaded, nobody out jam, I think, or something like that. So I went like 5+, gave up like 3 runs, 2 earned, I think, something like that. But yeah, and then Bielecki was pitching. He pitched lights out. Bobby Cox will tell you to this day, he was still so mad at himself. But he shouldn't second guess himself on this. But Bielecki was like dealing. Bielecki pitched the 6th and then the 7th, and he pitched 2 innings and struck out like 4 or 5 out of the 6 outs and was lights out.
Oh yeah.
And Bobby decided to, because Wohlers was on top of his game at that time. Still, he was pretty much the top closer in the game. But Bobby decided to bring him in for a 2-inning save, whatever, which he had only done like maybe once that year and stuff, whatever. And Bobby will tell you this day, damn it, Nate, I should have left Bielecki in there, man. He was dealing, man. I should have just left Bielecki in there.
Wow. You know, speaking of a guest right now, I know everybody hates him in Atlanta. So,
Jim Laylert.
oh, where is he? Right. Oh, there he is.
There it is.
What's up, Jimmy?
What's happening, Denny? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Good to see you, brother.
How did you get stuck with this guy?
Gotta love the New York boys, man.
So listen,
And
hold on, Jimmy.
go ahead,
So
Eddie.
I was talking to Denny, and you know, he said that he let up a little bit. You know, he wasn't focused on that game 4 after.
No. Tell him what I said. No, Eddie. Jimmy? What I told him was, I said,
Sorry.
I was dealing for 5 innings, and then my thing was I was the goofball. On the 4 days I didn't pitch, and then on the day I pitched, I always tried to stay locked in. And I was telling the story that in the bottom of the 5th inning, I came up to hit, and Kirby Puckett was sitting in the first row because they were honoring him with the Roberto Clemente Man of the Year award that game. And
Right.
I never do this, but I looked over at him because, being a former team with him, and I smiled and winked at him. And Kirby's like, "Let's go, come on, let's stay locked in," and I go, I got it, man. And then sure enough, though, I went out there. I told Eddie I went out there in the 6th inning, and I'm like, damn it, he was right, man. I let my guard down just for that split second, man, and you guys jumped on me in that 6th inning, man.
Yeah. That was. It's one of those things that in those kind of games, that momentum can change so quickly.
So quickly. Hey, Eddie, I got to tell you a really quick, funny story, too, about Jimmy. It was after the 97 season. I brought my dad out to this charity event out in Palm Springs, California. It was like softball and golf and stuff, whatever. And so my dad's a big Joker like me, too. And so Jimmy's there with his wife at the time. And he goes, "Hey, Denny, that's Layris right there, right?" And he goes, "All right, watch this." He goes, Hey, Denny, man, let me know where that Layris, let me know if you see that Layris, man. I got a fucking bone to pick with him, man. I hate that guy, man. And Layris turns out, he looks at him like that, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, there you are, man. Yeah, I fucking hate you, man, like that." And Jimmy finally looks at me, and he goes, "Dude, is this guy serious, man?" Like that. I go, "No, he's messing with you, man."
Yeah,
Goes,
I didn't know. I didn't know it was his dad.
Yeah, I know. He didn't know it was my dad either, too. Yep. He goes, "I'm just kidding with you, Jimmy." He goes, "You messed up my son's game 4 start, man."
Yeah.
Here's
That
the
was
thing.
funny. Yeah.
You guys are up 6-3, right? And Wohlers comes in, and he's got Jimbo. It's 1st and 2nd, right? When Jimmy was battling, because he was fouling off his fastballs left and right. I mean, the guy was throwing 98, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys think, "Oh shit, man, Jimmy's on him"? Was there any doubt in the club?
Let me tell you something, Eddie. I don't care who's throwing. If it's our Aroldis Chapman, these days or whatever, I guarantee you Jimmy can still hit his fastball, man. Because one thing we know about Jim Leyritz is he can hit anybody's fastball. He can turn anybody's fastball around, And so that was always the book on Jimmy is that, man, if, when in doubt, you don't want to try to get beat with the fastball because he does, seriously. I will tout you on that, Jimmy. You know that, everybody knows that. So that was the one horseshit thing for Wohlers, to be honest with you, Eddie, was that the abuse that he took from the armchair experts, what the hell was he thinking throwing him a slider, and stuff, whatever, he throws 99 to 100 miles an hour. Well, because the guy who's up there hitting can hit anybody's fastball. So the reason why Wohlers became such a better closer those years in 95, 96, and 97 was because he finally started throwing his slider and his split, over the plate for strikes. Before it was all or nothing, he was just coming at you with that 99 to 100. So it just so happened, he left the slider up and Jimmy took advantage of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, you leave pitchers up in the zone, especially in the World Series. I don't care who the hitter is; he's going to hit it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line, Eddie, is Denny did his job to get the ball to the bullpen, and then the bottom line is I still don't know why Bobby took out Bilecki.
Yeah, he just said we were just talking about that. He was just talking about that. Yeah.
And I understand. You can look at it both ways, but at the same time, the eye test of him, how he just struck out O'Neill and Tino Martinez. I'm like, I'm going to give him one more hitter till somebody gets on base, then go to my closer. Things might have been a little bit different.
Yep. I was telling Eddie right before you came on, Jimmy, that whenever Bobby, unfortunately he's been dealing with some health issues, but over the last few years, every time we'd be back for an alumni event, as soon as he'd see me and Bilecki, he goes, "Ah, damn it, man. I should have left you in, Bilecki. I should have left you in, man."
Well, and another thing is you can't really blame Wohlers too. I mean, who was the shortstop? Belliard. That it was a tailor-made double play ball, right?
Yep.
I think Mariano Duncan was hitting Jimmy. Am I
That was
correct?
it. Yep, that was it.
So you can't really. I
Listen,
mean, he did his job.
Yeah.
Wallace.
yeah.
Yep.
Now, do you guys, both of you
Well,
guys, hold on, Jimmy, do you guys disagree with Tim McCarver saying, well, if you get beat with your fastball, but he left a slider. But there was some, Jimmy, there was some sliders that you were reaching for it and you fouled it off.
well, the one pitch before then, yeah, I just barely got a hold of it, and like I've never talked to Mark about what he saw, but I took about a half a step off the plate because I knew I couldn't catch up to his fastball and on the inside corner, so I was going to take that pitch away from him, and I think in his mind he saw that corner open up even more, and he really tried to get out there, and that's why he hung it. And I think it was just one of those situations. I don't think if he would have made a good pitch, he would have got me. It was just a matter of him leaving it up in the zone.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Eddie. It's one of those things where if he dots a slider just off the corner, whatever, and Jimmy swings and miss, then McCarver's going to be saying, "Oh, what a great pitch!" Boy, that was really smart.
Well, and the other thing is Tim McCarver doesn't have the scouting reports. It says Jim Leyritz is a dead red fastball hitter. Don't get beat on the fastball. But McCarver doesn't have those. But I give him a lot of credit. He was doing some good announcing at that point as far as the way he made it sound. But yeah, no, I think and Eddie at that time, I hit the 95 home run, which was a one-time thing. It really wasn't established my postseason prowess as far as home runs go until we faced each other in '98 with the Padres.
I was going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I was going to say he got us again in '98 with the Padres.
Oh, where'd he go? Look at that. Hold on, Jimmy. What the hell? Call back.
Just came in here to throw some daggers at me.
Well, hold on a minute. Let's start all over. Okay, Jimmy, you're back. What I'm saying is that I was talking to Denny. I was telling him that they were up 6-0. The whole crowd, Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, was going nuts. They were like, "Oh, there's no way. That's it. The Braves are taking this game." Now, when Jimmy hit the home run, did that stadium, was it silent right after when he tied the game?
I was telling Jimmy, yeah. It sucked the life out of it, man. There's no question. That changed the series. You guys just fed off that, man, and then you could see how Andy just fed off it because obviously the competitor Andy is anyways. He was chomping at the bit anyways to get back after he had a tough game one. But then for you guys to win that game like you did, how could you not feed off that momentum going into Game 5 then?
But did you guys panic when you guys lost? Were you guys thinking in the clubhouse mentally like, "Oh shit, listen, this is tough now"?
It's certainly, it certainly like puts a damper on things, and stuff, and it changes the mood a little bit. However, the big thing for us though too was as much as we knew that they had Andy Pettitte coming off a great year that he had, we also had the guy that was going to be winning the Cy Young that year, and John Smoltz, who, in my opinion, too, like you were talking about Coney, Smoltz, I'll go to battle with him, with anybody, too, in the big games, man. Because, so anytime you're going out in the mound with John Smoltz on there, you got a good chance still. So it wasn't like we felt that deflated and stuff,
Right.
Anything could happen still. It just so happened that Andy just outpitched him the next night.
But that was
and I think the biggest thing was when we took the plane right out to Atlanta, there was somebody said something in the paper about we're just glad that we swept in New York so we don't have to come back. And the motivation, that was Joe Torre, was if we win Game 4, guys, we go back to New York, we got them. And I think that's where that changed. As far as your clubhouse goes, you still had Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddux. You're not hurting,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think in our clubhouse it was, we're back to New York. Let's see what we can do, because when we got home, we felt like we could change the momentum.
All right, so
without a doubt.
Here we have Denny. So here's the thing. Now, Smoltz admitted he pitched one of his best games ever against Pettitte, which was Game 5 in '96, the World Series. Now, when Pettitte beat Smoltz, were you guys thinking, "Oh shit, now we're down 3-2"? Was there a little panic button? Even though Maddox is starting Game 6, I get it, but was there panic?
Yep, without a doubt. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Now that I would admit, go after the Game 4, as tough as that was, and stuff. Like we were just saying, knowing that we still had Smoltz ready to go, to take nothing away from knowing full well we had Maddox going on the mound for Game 6 and stuff. when you lose a game like that with your horse on the mound, your guy, whatever and stuff, and now like Jimmy said, now we got to go back to New York, where into the jungle, so to speak, whatever, those fans and stuff. You could sense something, Eddie. Nobody, no, you never want to admit that, but you could absolutely sense it on our plane ride going to the field. That before Game 6, there was just a different feeling than we had, than the previous games.
Did Bobby Cox say anything when you guys got to Yankee Stadium before? Was there a team meeting, or he's like, whatever, just play it?
Yeah, no, I mean, Bobby was just always good about trying to, trying not to make too much of it, stay even keel. Look, the game's still the same old thing. It's now it's just down to a 1-game series. You got to win the next one to play the next one.
And I can tell you, Eddie, in '98 when I was on the Padres and we played the Yankees, and Tino Martinez hit that home run, our clubhouse was the same way. We knew we could still compete with them, but man, that took the air out of us like crazy, and that's why they end up sweeping us, because we just didn't have that extra confidence that we had going into Game 1, because of this is the team of the century, the team that's winning, that was part of our clubhouse also. So I can't imagine you guys had to be the same way.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, before 2021, I'm sure from 1996 to 2021, how many people will say, I hate Jimmy fucking Leyritz? Those Braves.
Well, outside of New York, maybe.
Because,
Eddie, the funny thing is they just had an article come out in the Atlanta Constitution 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. I have now gone down to the 4th most hated athlete in Atlanta history. So I've been replaced from being number 1 for many, many years, and I'm down to 4th now.
Wow, Jimmy, you downgraded. Damn, holy shit.
See, but that says a lot, though, man. Anytime you can be the most hated in another city, that says something about the career you had, though.
Well, is there anything you want to say to Jimmy, or Jimmy, you want to say something to Denny before we let Jimmy?
Well, go? I don't know if I ever told Denny the story, but in 1982, out of Cincinnati, Ohio, me and Barry Larkin were supposed to be the number 1 and number 2 picks. And 4 days before the draft, I went out and played tennis and fractured the side of my foot. And the scouts called up my dad while I was out playing tennis and said, hey, we want to draft your son. Is he willing to sign? I got to move up a little bit. Hold on. I got New York people.
Hey, come on now. Step on it. Let's go.
But so they said to my dad, would he sign? Long story short, I came home with the air cast. I was only going to be out 2 or 3 weeks. The scouts said they were going to pass on me. They'll come back and watch me play. 5 weeks later, they came back and watched me play in a tournament. And they said to my dad, we want to sign him. And my dad said, okay, give him 10 grand. And they said, we can only give him 5. And my dad said, screw that. He's going to college. So I went to Middle Georgia for 2 years, University of Kentucky for 1 year, never got drafted. Ended up signing out of the Kansas Jayhawk League, the collegiate league, and with the Yankees. But the part of the story that all of a sudden these scouts told at one of their conventions was in 1996, those 2 scouts were sitting in John Schuerholz's box. They were Atlanta Braves scouts.
No way.
For 5 grand, we could have changed this entire situation.
Holy shit!
Wow, man.
Yeah, that's a crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Denny, anything you have to say to Jimmy?
Oh man, hey, it's just great to see you, Jimmy, man.
Yeah, we need to get on the links together.
Absolutely, brother, for sure, man.
All right,
Thanks,
Jimmy. Thank
guys.
you so much. I wanted to surprise my guests. So there we go.
All right, guys.
Oh man, that was awesome, right?
That's great, man. I love that dude.
So, so when he hit the home run, right? I mean, we talked about it. Whatever. Here's the figure. Oh, why is he calling again? He's not. He's probably accidentally. But anyway, Denny, listen. Oh God, let me see. Hold on a minute. Let me just see. Why is he still calling? Hold on a minute. Don't go anywhere. Jimbo. No, it's probably his phone. All right. So, jeez. All right. So There we have it for the '96 season. I mean, look, I'm even wearing the shirt. I get it. I know you hate me, but I'm a fan. What do you want me to do, right? Denny, so after but here's the thing. What I want you to tell me is about what did you learn from Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz? Like as far as location, I talked to Cowboy West, former umpire, right? And I asked him a question about when it comes to the strike zone. I noticed in the late '90s, you guys will get an inch or 2 inches outside. Come on now, Denny. Let's be fair now. Is that true?
Well, let me expand on that.
Right.
I was talking to you about this on social media the one day even too.
Right.
When I came up, it was kind of like established. Yes, the Braves, we were known for that because we had a philosophy with Leo Mazzoni and Bobby Cox, right? That the outside corner, that's ours. We own that because their philosophy was, and this is why I love coming over to the Brave staff because that's how I had pitched, my whole career even too. I didn't have, like I said, Eddie, I didn't have the overpowering stuff, but I know I could pinpoint my location whenever I needed to. And the hardest thing in the world to do is to take that outside pitch, especially maybe if you're getting a little bit off the corner, you're getting that call. But if you're hitting that spot and you're dotting off the corner like that, the hardest thing to do is to try to take that pitch and hit it opposite field. Let alone, usually the best thing you're going to do is, the philosophy is the best thing they're going to do is maybe get an opposite field single, right? So I'd much rather have that team, and that's how Leo and Bobby thought. We'd much rather have that team have to string together 3 or 4 of those base hits to even get one run across the board. Now, on the flip side, you're making mistakes the middle in, and guys are dropping the head of the bat on you, and hitting 450-foot bombs off you with maybe a couple guys on and stuff. That's when the real damage happens. So we own that outside corner. So if we establish that, right, and we get our catchers to set up right on the black, and now they get off that much more, right? A little bit more off the corner. Now maybe a little bit more, because depending on which umpire you have, back in the day, maybe Joe West is going to give you a little more of the outside corner than he does the inside corner. Now maybe Jerry Crawford gives you a little bit more up and down than he does side to side. That's the umpires were like hitters and pitchers. You know what I mean? You knew what the specialty was and what the strength was of a certain hitter or a certain pitcher. Umpires were the same way, Eddie. You pretty much got to know the umpires, what they like to call and stuff. And when I came up, like I was telling you the other day, if you establish yourself as a control guy that really could hit your spots consistently, consistently hit that glove. I'm not talking like, that catcher barely moves his mitt. If you did that, you got that reputation as a guy that was around the zone. And so maybe you would get that call that was maybe, that much off the plate or something like that. But the same thing happened for, the Tony Gwynns and the Barry Bonds and the Wade Boggs, the guys that were known to have really good eyes of the plate. They were a lot of times going to get the benefit of the doubt also too. The real fun thing was when you watch like a Greg Maddux go against a Tony Gwynn. Who's going to get now who's going to get that call that might be a marginal call that's just off the plate? Is it Maddox, or is it Gwynn? They both kind of established that, And so, yes, as a Braves, as a whole, as a staff, we did get that reputation as guys that, that would get those calls sometimes. But the reason why was that is because we dotted and painted that glove, and hit our spots consistently. So it wasn't like, man, they're really giving them too many calls today. Well, we're hitting that glove, and Javi Lopez is barely moving that mitt, and stuff. And if it's maybe like 3 or 4 inches off the plate, is it really giving them that much of a call, or is it because you're almost getting rewarded because you're hitting that freaking glove every single pitch time after time?
But Danny, did you ever test umpires like, you're staying outside, an inch, you want to stay out there, and then finally the umpire's giving you that call, so you're like, I'm going to stay with this, right?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Eddie, I don't think it was so much a lot of times even testing the umpire as it was I cannot pitch. I have to still pitch to my strength, right? So my feeling was, even if I'm still maybe not getting that call, I'm still going to stay stubborn, especially if I get to 0-2-1-2, I'm not going to give in. I'm going to, he's going to hit my pitch if he works at the 2-2-3-2, and then maybe I have to give in. but I have to stay with my strengths. And so, maybe I'm still not going to get that call, but also on the flip side, maybe I'll get that guy to bite a little bit on that pitch. So too, if I still continue to just paint that spot out there, because maybe that hitter's going to think it is going to be called a strike.
Well,
But what I was going to say though, Eddie, is that you asked me what did I learn from like Maddux and those guys. To me, the what I always told everybody is that I had the best seat in the house watching 3 future Hall of Famers go at it night in and night out, right? And so, I mean, how can you not, as a fan of the game and as a student of the game, like you said, I'm analytical, I analyze things and everything too. And so how could I not learn something from watching these guys go and do their craft, right? And so, but guys used to ask me even back in those times when I was on that staff, like, geez, man, isn't it kind of, is it nerve wracking a little bit? Does it pressure you to have to pitch on a staff like that? And I'm like, absolutely not, because like I told you, Eddie, I'm my own worst critic. So nobody's going to be harder on me than myself. But this is the best way I used to describe it. I said, to me, it was like pitching in a rotation with those guys was like running in a 100-yard dash, right? With guys that, if you run in a 100-yard dash with guys that are just as fast, if not faster than you might not win that race, but you're probably going to run your best times every single time, right? Because they're going to push you to run faster. Now, if you're running that same race with guys that you beat every single time and you're going to beat them, you're probably going to win the race. But are you going to run your best times? Probably not, because you're not being pushed.
Right.
That's how I felt pitching that rotation with them. Maddux would go out and throw a 79 pitch complete game. Glavine would go out and get 14 ground ball outs. Smoltz would go out and punch out 12. Now when it's my turn, I'm like, well, shit, man, I don't want to be the low man on the totem pole. I got to go do my thing now. So they elevated my game to another level, and that's what helped me become the better pitcher that I was with them.
But imagine if you started your career with the Braves back in '91.
Gosh.
Holy shit! Listen, Denny, you would have. How many career wins do you have right now?
124, I think.
I would add 200, man, if you were with the Braves the whole time, man.
I even said, even if I had never gotten traded from them, whatever, because it is what it is. Things work out the way they do and stuff, whatever. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world and stuff, because personal things, involved, why I ended up signing in Colorado and stuff like that. But if I had even just stayed with the Braves after I even got traded to them, let alone just started with them, but if I stayed with them, I think I definitely would have eclipsed 200 wins, maybe gotten close to 250.
Oh, absolutely, man. Because, when I talked to Brett Boone the other day, he goes, listen, when people say, how do you feel about getting traded to the, what was it? You got traded.
He was in the trade with me.
Exactly. And he says,
from the Braves to the Braves.
Brett gave you a huge compliment. He told me, he says, listen, any other team, this guy's number one. He's an ace in any other team. So let me tell you something right now. So when people say, oh, how do you feel about getting traded for Denny Neagle? He's like, he's a number one in any other team. So it's a compliment to me.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and to me, it was a great compliment getting traded for Brett too, because, that's, I've always felt the world of him too. Brett's a hell of a player.
So after the Braves, you go to Cincinnati, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're in Cincinnati for a little bit. Was it Jack McKeon back then?
Yes, Trader Jack.
So now, here's another guy. Listen, you got Tom Kelly, World Series champion, Bobby Cox, Jimmy Leland. Who else? Wow, all your managers are World Series champs. Right? Jack McKeon with the Marlins.
Yep, Jack McKeon, Joe
and
Torre.
then after Cincinnati, we'll talk about the Yankees later.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Let's talk about, you got legendary managers, man. They got World Series titles under them. And you would say by far, from Tom Kelly, Jimmy Leland, Bobby Cox, Jack McKeon, we'll talk about Joe Torre later. But look at all these managers you played for. You're spoiled, man. You are spoiled.
Without a doubt, man. And even in the minor leagues too, to be honest with you, Eddie, I go back to the minor leagues even too. And one of my favorite minor league managers was Ron Gardenhire. I had him in Double A.
I love that guy.
One of the best baseball guys around, man. Just, doesn't come any nicer, any classier. And then I go to Triple A in Portland, and I have Russ Nixon.
Oh my God.
Veteran, manager from the big leagues, but he was trying to work his way back, to the big leagues at that point too. And so I got to learn from an old school, hard ass type guy at that point, whatever, and learn what it was, I had to learn early on in the minor leagues even too what it was like to play for a guy that was kind of old school, kind of hard on you a little bit too, so that definitely helped me, going forward in my big league career too. But yeah, I mean, there's no question, Eddie. I mean, I was very, very blessed to play the game, but also in general, but very blessed to play for the managers that I was able to play for in my career too.
And the managers and the pitchers and the teammates. I mean, holy shit.
Unbelievable, man. Like I said, dude, I mean, we got paid stupid amount of money to play a kid's game, whatever. I got to live out my boyhood dreams right in front of me, man.
Well, here's another question, Denny. Back to 91. Hold on a minute. I got to know this. Did you at least celebrate the World Series with the Twins? Did you guys party afterwards? Did you join them?
Nope. You know why?
Why? I don't get it. What do you mean, no?
I was on my way to Puerto Rico to play winter ball.
Okay. All right, fast forward. Okay, so now you play for the Reds, Jack McKeon. Did you guys make the playoffs 99 or was it 98?
99, we had that one game playoff for the final spot against the Mets.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep, we were. I mean, dude, we were set up, and we were going the last weekend of the season in Milwaukee, and I was coming back from some shoulder issues that year, and I ended up, my shoulder was killing me, so I missed like 2.5 months on the DL that year. But then I came back and finished really strong. Had one of the best stretches of my career actually. I won the pitcher of the month for September/October because I went like 7-0 with like a 1.7 down the stretch or something like that. And so my last start of the regular season was the first night in Milwaukee. We only had to win 2 out of 3 to clinch it, because we were tied with the Astros and the Mets for that last spot. So the Astros end up sweeping their series. We lost 2 out of 3, but I pitched the first night, went like 6 innings, 1 run. We were winning like 4-1. I didn't have a ton of pitches, but Jack came up to me and was like, "Hey, Denny, I want to pull you because we want you fresh for game 1 of the postseason." He goes, "Or God forbid, if we, I might need you available to pitch if God forbid, the stars don't line up and we end up having to go to 1-game playoff with either Houston or the Mets." Because at one point it was almost going to be we were going to have to play like Houston and then the winner would play the Mets or vice versa because we were all 3 tied for that last spot, whatever. It was so crazy. But anyways, so he pulled me. We were winning 4-1 and the bullpen ended up and our bullpen was lights out that year. Lights out. And we ended up giving it up that game. And so we lost that game, ended up losing the next game. And then Pete Harness, we had 5-hour rain delay on the last day in Milwaukee, ended up having to start the game at like 6 o'clock at night instead of a 1 o'clock day game. Oh, and Pete Harness ended up, pitching and winning that game. But then we had to come back and play that 1-game playoff in Cincinnati against the Mets. And, I made myself available for the bullpen on 2 days rest. I told Jack I'm ready to go. But it didn't even matter because that's the game. I don't know if you remember, Al Leiter threw like a 3-hit shutout against us that game.
I remember that, but okay. But speaking of Jack McKeon, was he the type of manager like just go play, man? Don't
yeah,
right?
Yeah, Jack was pretty laid back, man.
Just go play, man. Just do the right thing.
Yeah.
All right. So after Cincinnati, but also listen, you got to give me a good Sean Casey story. I love that guy. I had him on my show. You know what I call him? I call him the Larry David of Major League Baseball when he played. This guy always runs into bad luck.
Yep. Runs into bad luck, man. But what a personality, dude. One of the, him and Jim Thome used to battle out for the nicest guy in baseball award, man. They don't come any better than those two, man. I remember when once I left Cincinnati and I was with the Rockies now, we're in Cincinnati and Todd Helton gets a base hit, whatever. And then I think Fields' choice at second. So he gets out, and he comes back in the dugout. He's sitting next to me and he goes, "Negs, that's fake, right? It's got to be fake." I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? He goes, "Sean Casey, dude, he cannot be that nice, right?" He goes, "Is that fake?" I'm like, "Oh no, dude." I go, "What was he talking your ear off at first base?" He goes, "Oh my God, Nick." I get on first base. "Hey Todd, man, that was a great swing, man. Great swing, dude. God, I love watching you hit, man. Hey, good luck this year. You stay healthy, Todd." And he goes, "Dude, I thought he was trying to psych me out to butter me up or something, and then was gonna slap me in the nuts on a tag or something like that, whatever, And he goes, I said, "No, dude, that's not an act, man. That dude is all like 100 one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, man." Hey, I'll tell you another funny story about Sean. I still play fantasy football with him. We're in a couple leagues together. His fantasy football team name is still One Guard because back in the day, dude, that guy was so hairy. He had the hairiest chest and hairiest back. So me and Pete Harness and some of the guys were like, dude, Sean, what are you doing, man? You gotta have your fiance take the one guard to you, man. What? What are you talking about? The Clippers, dude, put a one guard, trim that stuff up, man. And so Sean's like, really? Okay, all right, I'll try it. Like fast forward like a couple weeks later, here comes my brother in town with a bunch of buddies, and I bring him in the locker room. And Sean, Mr. Christian guy and stuff, whatever, he's coming back from the shower, barely got a towel wrapped around him. He goes, hey, little Nagel, look what your brother taught me, man. Look, I'm clean shaven. My brother's like, congrats.
That was his intro to
That was
your
his
brother.
intro to Sean
Hey,
Casey.
look.
Check out my one guard.
Listen, did he tell you about the Ken Griffey Jr. Clippers?
No.
Oh, this is a funny story, right? It's on my show. He goes, Ken Griffey, he's in Cincinnati, and I got these like $15 clippers, right? And I need to shave my body, man, because I'm hairy, right? That's what Sean's saying, right? So then he's like, hey, Griff, can I borrow your clippers? Because, his clippers were like a Tesla. They were
Rolls Royce.
quiet. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like he's on point, like at least $200 clippers, right?
Yeah.
So the next day, the clubhouse, I think they were in St. Louis. He's like, hey, Griff, man, thanks so much, man. Here's the clippers. I feel clean. I feel light. And Ken Griffey's looking at him like, did you use that in your whole body? And Sean Casey's like, oh, yeah, man, it was great. And then he's looking at it like, you know what? Just keep it, man.
You keep them.
Just keep it. And Sean Casey, to this day, I still have those clippers, baby.
That's Case.
I love it. He's the best.
I told you. He's still one guard.
And, okay, so now you get traded in 2000. Now you're coming to the Bronx. You're coming to my hometown, all right? Well, not the Bronx. I'm from Brooklyn, but I'm just saying you're coming to New York now, right? When you got traded, were you like, oh, shit, I'm on the Yankees now? Remember, they're coming from a back-to-back World Series, 98, 99, also 96, but, 98, 99. Now it's 2000. They're going for a three-peat. How did that go? How did that trade go by? Like, what happened exactly?
So another crazy one, it was at the All-Star break. So right before the All-Star break, I have a meeting with Jim Bowden, the general manager for the Reds. Mm-hmm. And Jim calls me in and he was like, hey, I'm going to be free agent after the season. And he says, hey, Denny, we just I'm having a great year with them, really good first half. And he says, I just kind of wanted to meet with you to see where your head's at, because we would love to re-sign you here. And I said, well, Jim, look, I'm not going to lie. This is pretty much going to be my last go around at my one and only chance. I hadn't been a free agent yet. I said, this is probably my one and only chance at free agency. I feel like I'd be doing myself an injustice if I didn't at least see what's out there for me, I said, but, hey, I'm going to give you guys every chance to re-sign me. I've loved my time here, and stuff, and I'd love to come back. He's like, okay, I just needed to know that, and so just so there's a chance I might have to trade you, and stuff, whatever, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but it'll probably be at the trading deadline. But I just want to give you a heads up. Well, that was Friday night, the 2 nights before the All-Star break. So, Monday and Tuesday, the All-Star break comes around. The All-Star game's in Atlanta. I remember I was with my wife at the time up in, because we were going to open up the second half in Colorado at Coors, right? So we're up at Beaver Creek, Vail, Colorado, in that area, just having a good time for a couple of days, enjoying the All-Star break. I leave my cell phone charging because it was almost dead. We go out, walking around the Beaver Creek Village and stuff, whatever, gone for 3 or 4 hours. I get back and I have 32 missed calls and 15 voicemails and 10 text messages, whatever, and stuff. And I'm like, what the heck is going on, man? Or I don't even think text messages then, but 15 voicemails, and stuff, whatever. So my agent, hey, buddy, give me a call. Hey, man, give me a call. Dude, I'm down here in Atlanta. You got to call me, man. Your name's been blown up down here. So I finally call him back. I'm like, what the hell's going on, Barry? Jesus, man. I left for a couple hours. He goes, dude, you're going to get traded today or tomorrow. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Bowden told me the other day it won't be till the All-Star break. Well, he changed his mind, and he's struck while the iron was hot, and he's basically shopping me around like a used car, whatever, to all the teams down at the All-Star break, and stuff. And so he's like, yeah, man, I'm hearing that you're going to go back to Atlanta or probably the Diamondbacks, whatever, maybe Cleveland. Cleveland was in the market again, possibly the Red Sox, all these other teams, right? He's throwing my name around. So kind of, just like when I went to the Braves, I wasn't expecting it. So that was the day before. The next day, sure enough, he calls me up in the morning and says, all right, it's happened. You're traded. He goes, where do you think you went? I'm like, back to Atlanta? Nope. Diamondbacks? Nope. Well, shit. The Red Sox, no. Come on, dude. Who do you think? Who's the best team in baseball right now? I said, the Yankees? Yep. You're going to be a fucking New York Yankee, man. I'm like, what? Because it's the same thing, man. I just, kind of like when I got traded to the Braves, you got Maddux, Glavine, Smoltz, the Yankees, you got Cone, Pettit, El Duque, Clemens, and stuff. But at that time, Coney was dealing with some shoulder issues. El Duque was dealing with a couple health issues and stuff, whatever. The whole staff was kind of, was actually struggling a little bit at that time. So they wanted to bolster the staff. But again, Eddie, man, it just kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it at all, but it was definitely really cool, man. I mean, to be able to come to the pinstripes, man, and, and win a championship in New York and everything. I mean, it's pretty special.
When you told your family, they were like, holy shit, now this is the big stage, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny too because I grew up a diehard Orioles fan. I'm from Baltimore, and stuff. Grew up loving back in the day, with Cal and Eddie, but even before that with Eddie Murray and Mark Belanger and Brooks Robinson and Frank, all those guys, man. I grew up loving the Orioles and stuff. So, hated the Yankees, as a kid because that was our rival, and stuff. But always had the utmost respect for them, and how could I not? If as much as I really wanted to hate him when I was younger, I still loved him too, though, man, because, my dad is one of his all-time favorite players is Mickey Mantle. My dad grew up a huge Mickey Mantle fan and stuff, whatever. So, again, it was even though you wanted to hate him because you're an Orioles fan, you couldn't help but respect them, and love the fact of what they did in there and stuff too. So to be able to put the pinstripes on, man, with all the story, history, and tradition they had, my dad had tears in his eyes, man, the first time he got to come see me playing pinstripes.
All right, so when you get to Yankee Stadium, right, your first day, you see they don't have no last names, but you see their numbers, and you got number 2, Derek Jeter. You got studs, man. You really got studs, right? Who your locker was next to who, and who greeted you and say, "Hey, welcome. You're here to help us. Let's go."
I think my locker was next to Doc Gooden, so him and I were next to each other when I got traded over there. Trying to think because I think it was just I had the first locker right next to the alleyway, the shower, and then Doc was on the other side of me. So Doc was my locker mate, So that was surreal too, I mean, I loved watching him as a kid, with the Mets and everything too, man, when he first came up and stuff too. So to be able to be teammates with him, was pretty cool also too. Trying to think, I think Paulie.
Was he on that team 2000, Doc Gooden?
Yes.
He was?
Yep. Doc was there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm making sure. I mean, I talk to Doc all the time, I'm tight.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, damn, was he on that too?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Doc was there that year too. And then I'm pretty sure Paulie O'Neill was maybe one of the first ones that greeted me in the locker room too. And
what did they say? What did they say to you? Hey, welcome to the Yanks. Like, what is it?
Yep, it's all it reminded me a lot of when I first got traded to the Braves, to be honest with you, Eddie, because that same thing, that team was on such a roll, even though the Braves were considered the team of the 90s, they had only won one World Series, but same thing, like I told you earlier, it was like anything short of, getting to and winning the World Series is going to be a subpar year for them. So everything was so businesslike with them, it was just like a matter of fact and everything. So, but they, just made you feel welcome right away. Welcome to the club and everything and stuff, and I do remember, being the jokester I am. Oh God, why am I Robbie? The clubhouse guy for the Yankees.
Rob Kakuza.
Thank you. There you go, Robbie. Yep, Robbie Kakuza. So Robbie comes up to me, and he's like, "So Denny, we were just trying to figure out a number for you, and stuff, whatever." And I like lower numbers. I was never big on. That's why I had 15, and stuff. And so, he's like, "So we're thinking, the only lower numbers we have, is maybe 12, but there's kind of a thing with that because, it was Boggs' number and he might be retired, and stuff. But I think, the boss said, George, he goes, the boss said you could have it if you want, and stuff. And I looked him stone faced in the eye, Eddie, and I go, oh no, dude, I want 15. And he goes, Denny, what? What? It's my number, dude. I want 15.
Out of Yankee Stadium.
Denny, that's Thurman Munson. I go, who the fuck is that? He goes, you're joking, right? I'm like, no, well, I don't give a who the fuck's this Munson guy? He goes, Denny, I'm like, I'm fucking with you, dude. I know who Thurman Munson is.
You convinced my ass just now. Damn. Oh shit. I was about to say what?
And him and a bunch of the guys, the other clubhouse kids are like, oh shit, we heard you were a jokester, man. I go, fuck, of course I know who Thurman Munson is.
That's awesome. You come in. You know what? Maybe your new occupation should get into acting. You know what I mean? Maybe you should come to my field now. You convinced the shit out of me right there. I was like, what? So, all right. Now you guys, you get to the Bronx. Where did you live, by the way, in New York when you got there? I mean, it's tough because you got, what was it, the mid-season, right? Middle 2000s?
Yep, mid-season. So my wife really wanted to really experience all of New York. So we ended up getting a place at Trump Plaza, Central Park West.
Oh, right. Okay. There you go. Now
Yep.
we could get, but, I'm sure your wife also said, give me that credit card because Fifth Avenue's right here, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Dude, even just a room service, man. I remember getting a cheeseburger and a Coke one night, man, just because I had to tie myself over, and it was like $52.
You could have went down the corner of the bodega for
Exactly.
$6.
She was loving it though, man, because all the celebrities that would come in for the talk show circuits and stuff, whatever, whether it was late night or whatever, they they would say, guest of the Jimmy Kimmel or whatever show, at that time, guest of Jay Leno stay at the Hyatt, no, they all stayed at Trump Plaza, Central Park West. So any given night, she was meeting Mark Wahlberg, Sean Penn, Madonna, everybody stayed at that freaking place. So she was loving it.
So you were staying there for the remaining of the season?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
that's an expensive bill, Danny. Holy shit.
Oh yeah. Yep. Here's another really funny one, real quick, too, about people who stayed there. So earlier in the season, when I was with the Reds, I'm friends with some different actors in Hollywood and stuff. Like Jonathan Silverman's a good buddy of mine.
Oh, wow.
And through him, he was best friends with Bob Saget, so I got to know Bob through Johnny, and then a bunch of other people I met through Johnny and stuff. And then Charlie Sheen, being the big baseball fan that he is, when I was with Cincinnati, when we got into town. Charlie came in the locker room. I had Silverman there with a bunch of his friends, and then Charlie was in the locker room with Emilio and a bunch of other guys. He comes up and actually I didn't really meet him in the locker room, but after the game, it was a day game. We had a Saturday day game and then a Sunday day game. So Saturday night, Silverman is going to be the judge for this banana hot topic bikini contest thing or whatever, and Charlie Sheen's going to be a judge there too, right? So we go, and my wife was on the trip, so we go with Johnny and his guests and everything, and then Charlie's there. So he comes up and introduces himself. Hey, Denny, I didn't get to meet you earlier. I said, I'm Charlie Sheen. I go, yeah, I know who you are, Charlie, and stuff, whatever. So, we hung out for a little bit, got to know him a little bit. Now, flash forward, now I'm with the Yankees. I come back from a game one night, and my wife's asleep on a notepad right next to the phone. It's not her handwriting, but it says Charlie Sheen, 818-424, whatever. And I'm like, wake her up. I'm like, hey, the hell you doing with Charlie Sheen's number? And I know that's not your handwriting. Oh, it's a funny story. I'm like, I'll bet it is. So he says, so dude, they'd given us these little giveaway dishwasher and laundry detergent. She mixed it up and put laundry detergent in the dishwasher to do some dishes. It starts bubbling up, suds over, man, and stuff. I mean, there's suds everywhere. It looked like a bubble bath in the kitchen, So she had to call maintenance, to come up and take care of the thing. They had our door, when you open it up, it opened up right to the elevators where somebody come out of the elevators. Mm-hmm. So as they have the door opened up and they're trying to, wet, dry, vac this whole mess out and everything, the elevator door's open. Here comes Charlie Sheen, out of the elevator. So my ex-wife says, their name's Jen. She goes, Charlie. He kind of looks at her and goes, yeah. She goes, it's Jen Neagle. I met you earlier. Oh, hey, yeah, that's right. Denny just got traded to the Yankees. He goes, that's my favorite team. He shows his Yankees tattoo. The Reds are my second favorite. He's got the Reds tattoo and the other one and stuff. So anyways, he goes, hey, I'm actually in town because I'm going to take over for Spin City for Michael J. Fox. Here, let me give Denny my number, whatever. Tell him to call me, man. I'd love to hang out sometime. But, of course, I'm going, what the hell are you doing with his cell phone number?
You're already cheating on me. I'm treating you in this nice hotel, and you got his number that quick? Thanks.
She said it was funny, too, because when she said, Charlie, and he kind of looks at her and was like, oh, God, where did I meet this girl?
Oh, man. So in New York City, you had a great time with your wife, right? I mean, you were feeling it, right? You love the city. Now, I want to know, did you get along with Joe Torre? And look into my eyes and tell me, yes or no.
I will be 100% honest with you, Eddie. It was the first time in my career that I did not, for whatever reason, him and I didn't click. And I'll be honest with you. I shared this for the first time on a podcast I did about a year ago. It was the first time I ever spoke about it. And, because I feel like I'm at a point in my life where, I mean, who cares? I mean,
Right.
it's
It's being
what is
human.
it,
It's whatever.
but, as I told you earlier, Eddie, that I've always had that in my personality where I hate that. I don't like when somebody doesn't like me, and stuff. And so I couldn't figure it out what it was with me and Joe. I think part of it had to do with, I was a different character. I was a happy-go-lucky jokester guy and stuff, whatever, So I think for some reason, maybe that personality trait of mine didn't mix well with his. Joe was very business-like and very business-oriented, whatever. But don't get me wrong. Joe was he had a sense of humor and liked to have fun in the game as well too. But there was nothing, honestly, Eddie, I swear to God, there was nothing really that I could ever pinpoint that was like, man, maybe he took that the wrong way when I said this or when I did this or something. This is the one thing that happened between us that I think for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, I think this will explain a lot. But, I always felt like this kind of weird thing between us, but it was never a big issue, and stuff. I mean, I got along fine with him, cordial with him and stuff. But then going into the World Series, after I started game 1 and game 5 of the ALCS, right? And I felt like I did my job. I didn't pitch outstanding, lights out, but I got outpitched both games from Freddie Garcia, I think his name was. He was the number 1 at the time. He pitched lights out game 1. And I went 5 2/3 or 5 1/3, gave up 2 earned runs, I think, maybe in game 1, something like that. I either 3 runs, 2 earned, or something like that. But we lost 4-0 or something like that. But he outpitched me. Now game 5, same thing. The kid outpitches me again. He pitches lights out against us. But I left in that game. I remember, there's certain guys that you're not going to let beat you. And in that lineup, to me, 100% A-Rod had owned me that year. He hit one off the facade upper deck in Yankee Stadium earlier in the year that almost knocked the stadium back a couple inches off me, right? And so I was not going to let him beat me. So I purposely pitched around him. And then there was 2 other at-bats. Edgar Martinez, being the Edgar Martinez he is, fouled off freaking, I don't know how many 2-2 and 3-2 pitches and finally worked a walk on me. But it was a 12 or 13 pitch at bat. And then Ricky Henderson did the same thing in a later at bat against me. Fouled off 7 or 8 pitches, and I eventually walked him. Those were my 3 walks. Purposely pitched around A-Rod, and then there was 2 12 or 13 pitch at bats. So now after that series, we're getting ready to start the World Series. It's a workout day. I come back after the workout. I have 40 camera crews and media around my locker. I'm not pitching until game 4, at least hopefully. But that's what they want to talk about. I'm like, what are you guys doing around my locker? I'm not pitching. Go talk to Clemens. Well, yeah, but Denny, we just want to know what you thought of how Joe said, he hasn't decided if you're going game 4 yet or not. He's thinking about leaning towards Cone. I said, oh, well, look, if he goes to the Cone, how can I fault him for that? I was telling you earlier, I said, you guys know what I think about David Cone. I've not hidden that at all. I love the guy. He's been one of the best big game pitchers I've ever seen, in my time. And so if Joe wants to go with David, he's certainly earned the right. How am I going to complain about that? Well, yeah, but we just want to know what you thought of, because Joe said the reason why is because he felt like that you were too timid and you were too passive in your last start, and the way you pitched in your last start. And I said, and I quote, I go, well, I think you're probably taking him out of context, maybe. I don't think Joe said that, because I know I pitched to my strength last game. And all of them go like this, flip their pages. Nope. Joe says right here, in their notepads, no, Neagle was too passive. He didn't like the way you pitched in that last start. So I said, look, again, if he wants to go with Cone, I totally understand that. But I will take it to my grave that I pitched to my strength. I didn't let A-Rod beat me, and I walked 2 other guys on 13 pitch at bats. I did not pitch passive. I pitched my game. I just got outpitched again, And so I go shower. I come back, and there's Joe. He's pissed. He's like, hey, Denny, just so you know, in the future, when you have something to say, I'd much rather you say it to me than go run to the media or whatever and talk about it behind my back. And I said, well, I feel like, Joe, that should work both ways, because I got ambushed, whatever, because of what you said about my start. And all I was doing was defending how I pitched. I didn't say anything about you. I didn't go to them. I just answered the question that they asked me, period. I said, so, I would also appreciate that if you had an issue with the way I pitched, that you would come talk to me about it and we can discuss it. And I would tell you the same thing, that I felt like I pitched to my strengths, Joe. That I would tell you, like, honestly, Eddie, they don't, every organization, every market that I played in, you ask any media member, I'm as straightforward and honest as you get. I told you I'm my own worst critic. And I would have said, yeah, you know what? I pitched like dog shit. Man, I was too passive. Like I said in that game 4 start against, I let my guard down. And that opened up the door. And then like Jimmy said, man, that's all a team needs sometimes. You open that door just a little bit. But in that game, they just got the best of me. And they're guys, professional hitters, Ricky Henderson and Edgar Martinez did their job and worked the counts against me and eventually worked to walk. But it wasn't because I walked them on 4 pitches or 5 pitches, whatever, and pitched passes against them. So that was the only point I made to Joe. But he got pissed at me because he felt like I betrayed his trust and went to the media, but I didn't. All I did was answer their questions. And then flash forward to my game 4 start now. So he lets me have the start. I'm winning 3-2, but he pulls me with 2 outs in the 5th inning. And then there's, legendary stories now that happen from that. The truth is, I was shocked, Eddie. I honestly, there's 2 outs, nobody on. And again, he brings Coney in, which I totally get. I understand that. But again, Torrey's reason was he felt like I was losing it or something. The first 2 guys hit long fly balls to right. They were both routine fly balls to right the first 2 outs of the 5th inning. And so to be honest with you, when he comes walking out, I thought he was going to come out to talk to me about, like, just be careful with Piazza, don't give in to him, kind of like one of those things. I walked around, was getting the ball back, and I didn't see him do the motion to the bullpen, right? He had already done this, but I didn't see that. Mm-hmm. So when he puts his hand out to say, like, give me the ball, I was like, oh shit, are you serious? And so, cause I didn't see it. And he was like, yeah, hey, great job. You did your job, man. We're going to win this game for you now. But I was shocked, Eddie. I didn't know what to think. I really didn't. So I remember sitting in the dugout going, oh man, usually you stay in until the guy finishes off the inning for you, whatever, but it just hit me. I'm like, there's probably like 20 million people looking at me right now, waiting to get a reaction. And I'm not going to give them the satisfaction, because to be honest with you, at that point, I'm pissed because I'm a competitor. I want to be out there. I want to finish this inning, man. I want to win this game for us. That was the biggest thing. And then from there, it was like, man, I still want to win this damn World Series too. I don't harbor any ill feelings like that, but I'm not going to give the satisfaction of fans thinking like, oh, look at Neagle, he's pissed, and stuff. And so I just said, you know what, I'm going to get up and walk up into the clubhouse, and stuff. And after Coney gets that one out, he's the first one that comes up to me in the locker room. He's like, damn, Negs, I'm sorry, man. That kind of sucks the way that happened to you like that, and stuff. Coney understood, and stuff. Doc Gooden comes up to me, man, Negs, that sucks, man. I'm like, hey, you know what? Look, let's just win the damn thing. That's all that matters to me. That's all I care about. And as luck would have it too, Eddie, old Shea Stadium, those locker rooms were so old and beat up, in the training rooms and stuff. A pipe burst that night in the training room. Yeah. The rumor started flashing around that Neagle took a bat to like the pipes in the training room, busted up the pipes and flooded the training room at Shea Stadium. I swear to God, that rumor went around the New York media.
God, I can't stand the media when they fucking make up shit. I can't stand that, man.
Yep.
And then it makes you look like the bad guy.
Yeah. And so after the game, even now I got all the cameras in my face, and they all want to get a reaction. Well, Denny, what do you think, and stuff. And I said, look, we won the game. That's all that matters. We're up 3-1. I'm hopefully going to win my first World Series finally. That's all that matters. Yeah, but Denny, no, but nothing. We're up 3-1. That's all finally the one guy says, I say, look, the only thing I'll say on this subject is about getting pulled in the 5th. I said, I feel like that having the experience that I have in the big leagues in general, but also just in the postseason, I've had some pretty good postseason starts. I threw a 4-hit shutout in '97. In Game 4, we were down 2-1 with the Braves. I said, I feel like that. I felt like I earned that right to be out there to pitch through any kind of tough situation or jam. And the reporters go, jam? Denny, you had 2 outs and nobody on. I said, you said it, not me. All right, don't quote me as saying that.
That was good. That was a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. So Denny, even though that 2000 team, they weren't that special. I mean, you guys lost like 15 games in September.
Yes.
You guys didn't even have 90 wins when you finished the season. But luckily in October, they concluded. So my question is, where did you guys party after the World Series in 2000? Let's go.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one.
Oh,
I believe it was called Verucas.
I don't
I
even know.
think that I'm pretty sure that was the name of it. It was known as the Yankees Bar, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So people knew to come there if you wanted to meet a Yankee and stuff. And so we partied there till, God, I'm trying to think if we finished there. Yeah. That night we partied at Veruca's, and I can honestly say that's the first time that I've ever drank in a bar, and literally walked out at like 7:38 in the morning because they kept it open all night for us, to celebrate and stuff.
And the whole team
And
was there. The whole team.
at least half the team I think was still there, with their families and stuff like that.
Right.
And open that door, me and my wife, whatever, and we're trying to catch a cab and watching people walking to work, and starting their day, and stuff, whatever, was kind of a crazy feeling, man. Hit this, it felt like a vampire with the sun hitting you coming out of that bar and stuff, man. But that was a fun night.
And back to that game. Was it game 1 or game 2 with Piazza when Clemens threw
Game
the
one.
broken? All right, so game 1. What was the tension in the clubhouse afterwards when Clemens threw the broken bat towards Piazza? I mean, did something happen? Were you guys saying, "Hey, there might be a brawl in the dugout"? What was going on?
I don't think we thought there was going to be a brawl. We knew that it was just a situation in the history that those two had together. And if you know Rocket at all, being the competitor that he is and stuff, whatever, because I mean, dude, I'll tell you a story about Rocket too. One of the reasons people think that because he was so amped up and everything. Well, one of the reasons why he's so amped up is I'm one of my first weeks there, whatever. Like I said, my locker was right next to the alleyway that goes to the shower, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there in my locker, and I just hear, ugh, ugh, ugh. I'm like, what the hell is going on in the shower, man? So, dude, I go back in the shower. Clemens has his shorts down, his his pants down, and his undershorts, and he's putting the hot balm,
Yeah.
the Tiger Balm,
Mm-hmm.
on his ball sack, dude, and in between on his thighs and stuff. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Rocket? He goes, oh, kid, man, this is how I fire myself up, man. This is how I pump myself up for the start. I go, dude, man, hey, whatever floats your boat. I said, I just put on some Metallica or, some AC/DC or something, man. That's good enough for me. But if Tiger Balm on your nuts gets it done for you, I guess more power to you, man.
And first of all, that Tiger Bomb is way advanced. It's not Tiger Bomb. It's one of those high shit. Because I did Yankees fantasy camp, but they put that shit on me. Let me tell you something.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Woo!
So dude, now you can imagine that's why, that guy's got his juices flowing and everything too. So when that bat splinters off and comes at him, he's not thinking that Piazza threw the bat at him or whatever, He's just amped up, man, and getting caught up in the moment and everything. But, so I don't, it's not like we thought there was going to be a brawl, but we definitely fed off that emotion, for sure.
When you were playing for the Yankees, right, and especially in the playoffs, World Series, in Yankee Stadium, when you hear Metallica music, when Mariano comes out, does that get you fired up when you're in that dugout? Like, oh my God, this is amazing, right?
How can you not, man? I mean, I love Metallica in general too, but then to watch him come out for that song, that iconic, walk in from him and everything too. And just the fact that it's Mariano too, knowing that you're witnessing, you knew at that time you were witnessing greatness, and then that guy was a surefire future Hall of Famer as well too, just because of the way he goes about his business, and stuff, man. It's just, again, kind of, I had that same feeling like I had, Eddie, when I'd watch Maddux, Glavine, and Smoltz. You were watching greatness, on a night in, night out basis, especially in the postseason, to watch that guy take it to another level. It's just fun to watch, man.
Shittiest mound that you didn't feel comfortable. Which stadium?
Oh, man. I remember I always hated the old Olympic Stadium, Montreal.
Mm.
Yeah, that, just in general, just the whole stadium in general, but because it was that old makeshift turf, and stuff that really even wasn't meant to be a baseball stadium, they built it for the Olympics back in the day and stuff, and so the turf was hard as crap. The dirt was just, awful. You could never get a feel for it and everything. Just everything about the stadium, man, it just didn't feel right whenever you took the mound there and stuff, and you could just tell sometimes. And so that's why I had some of my worst outings there too, because I never felt comfortable on that mound.
Shittiest clubhouse, visitor side.
Visitor side, now it's a lot better, but Wrigley Field was awful. I mean, oh, dude, it was so tiny, man. You were on top of each other trying to get dressed before the games and stuff. They have since refurbished both sides. The home side is amazing now, but the visiting side I heard is a lot nicer now too. But back in the day, dude, I mean, it was so tiny. The showers were awful. You could barely, there was barely enough room for 4 or 5 guys to even shower in there and stuff too, right on top of each other. And then Fenway Park was the same way as well too. Just so tiny, cramped in there.
Who had the best food on the visiting side?
Oh, man. I know St. Louis always did a hell of a job. What's his name? Jerry Turner, I think. God, was that his name? Oh, but he always did a great job. He had some really good food. I mean, New York. I mean, my God, when we had Italian night in New York, man, I mean, that's right up my alley, dude. I love me some Italian food. I'm Irish, but I always felt like I should have been born Italian, man. Italian's my favorite food.
Well, how was the Yankee Stadium in the World Series? The food was it
Oh,
excellent?
yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Without doubt. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because Steinbrenner takes care of his people. You know that.
Oh, 100%, dude. And let me tell you something. I love that guy, man. I didn't get to know him too well, but I always respected, how much what he was willing to do to try to win in that city and stuff too. But he was great. I remember like when I had my first start, whenever I pitched lights out, and I had my little routine where I did my workout after I pitched too and stuff. And the who was it? I think the head strength coach was like trying to tell me, Denny, Mr. Steinbrenner would like to see you now, like that, stuff. And I was getting ready to go up. And then somebody told him that I was doing a workout that I work out after I pitch, and he was like, you tell him to finish his workout. I'm not that important. He needs to get his work in. Don't you tell him I can meet him another time.
Wow.
He was great.
Best, man. He is when you first met him, what did he say to you? Like when you came to New York, did he come up to you or did he see you right away? Yeah.
Yep. Well, I actually I don't think I'd met him until after that first start. And then, he was just thrilled because I had obviously pitched lights out and everything too. But it was more just, hey, we're happy to have you here. Welcome to the club. I expect great things of you.
So, Denny, now I'm going to touch on a very vulnerable subject. And I am so sorry that you lost your nephew way back. And I'm so sorry for what your sister went through too. And I know you guys started a charity, and I know his name is Connor. And I have a niece and nephew, and it really, I mean, those eyes right there. You could get so attached to a kid like this. What happened back then?
So he was at a pool, at a country club pool with a friend of my sister and her husband at the time. My sister was a realtor at the time, and she was writing up a contract actually for the guy that was watching her son. So he was at the pool with a couple of kids that I think it was his wife or fiance's kids that he was with. But he said, hey, I'll take Connor up with me while you go, write the contract for this new place that we're going to be getting and stuff. And so my sister was a little hesitant because Connor was 5 at the time and he still wasn't great at swimming in the deep end and stuff, but she agreed, and he never would go in without his floaties on his arms, right? He always had his floaties on and stuff, but he had come up to the guy, Paul, and he said, Mr. Paul, can I take my floaties off? I have to go to the bathroom. So he said, yeah, buddy, just come right back though. So it was a real busy day, crowded with a bunch of kids that day, because he never went in at either deep end without his floaties on. So we feel that what happened was after he went to the bathroom, when he came back, in our heart of hearts, we feel like he accidentally got knocked into the deep end because, like I said, it was really crowded. And so because he just never would. He would never just randomly jump in the deep end because he knew he wasn't a great swimmer, and he would never go in without his floaties. So we feel that he got bumped into the deep end. But next thing you know, what happened was, all of a sudden a woman started screaming. There's a kid under the lifeguard chair. He was at the bottom of the pool, and they pulled him out, and I wasn't there. I was out of town actually, but just as the story goes, they pulled him out, and a couple of lifeguards tried to perform CPR on him and stuff. But unfortunately, they had a defibrillator on site, but nobody knew how to use it. Nobody knew how to administer it. The only person that knew how to use it was the manager, and he wasn't there at the time. And the doctors at the ER at the hospital, when he eventually got taken to the hospital, they said because he ultimately died of cardiac arrest. It was a drowning / cardiac arrest, but the cardiac arrest is what did it. And they said had a defibrillator been administered to him, right there on the spot, they don't know for a fact, but he would have had a much better chance of survival at that point, And so because of that, we made it our lifelong mission that, the first thing we did, we changed the law in the state of Maryland, and it's called the Connors Law, that every public pool, and I can't remember, to be honest with you, if they changed it to schools too, but right now I know it's for sure, every pool has to have a defibrillator on site, and somebody there has to know how to use it. So and then we started raising money to actually supply defibrillators at pools, at schools. We also took it to another level, and we would raise money to hire to have swim lessons to provide for kids like in inner cities that normally wouldn't get it. We bought actually a van for a local YMCA in Baltimore to bus kids from their homes into the YMCA's to teach them swimming lessons and stuff. Because that's, our mission, our life goal mission is that no family and no parent should ever have to go through what our family and my sister went through.
Yeah, it really hurts because, I was looking at the pictures on your Instagram and I'm like, no, this kid can't go this early, I literally had tears last night. I was like, no way. Imagine his sister, what she's going through. The kid right there, he's so precious. You want to hold him. I'm sure she had the best time. How old was he?
5. He was like a month from his 6th birthday.
Yeah,
hardest thing I ever had to do with my
life.
Right? The hardest thing I ever had to do was give his eulogy at the funeral. Because that's what I said. I said, you're not supposed to be giving speeches like this about your nephew. You're supposed to be eventually talking about who he's going to be, where he's going to college, who he's going to get married to, and those are the speeches that you want to give. Not a eulogy for a 5, almost 6-year-old kid, and stuff. And I that's why his adopted song became Who You'd Be Today by Kenny Chesney, because it's just rings so true to him. That's what that song talks about. I wonder what you name your kids, what would you be doing today and stuff, and so, I told everybody that the eulogy, let that be his gift to us. Is that, how many times do we say, Eddie, when you get together at a funeral, and what's the first thing you usually say to everybody? Sorry, we have to meet under these circumstances. Yeah. So that's what I told everybody that day was let just be a lesson, let's be his gift to us, that don't let funerals and stuff like that be the reason why you get together with your loved ones, or just close friends even. Don't let those moments, those chances go by where you tell your loved ones how much you love them and how much they mean to you.
Definitely. Is there any way for the viewers to get involved in this charity, as far as, do they go to a website?
Absolutely. Yep. You can go to www.connorcares.org. So, CONNOR cares.org. And, you can look at, to spread the word, share it, and stuff, whatever, because it's still I want to say the leading cause of death from kids under the age of 8 years old or something like that, Eddie. It's such a preventable thing, so it can happen in the blink of an eye. It really can. There's stories of this woman that my dad knew. She lost her 2 kids because she had a huge bucket that she was getting ready to wash her car with. And then the mail had come, and her driveway was really long, and she had to walk all the way down the driveway to go get the mail. By the time she came back, and she was doing what we all do, flipping through her mail as she's walking up. The 2 kids were obviously playing or something, and they wedged themselves into this big bucket of water, and they both drowned right there in this bucket of water. It's just,
2 kids.
2 kids, yes. It's but just in general though too, with pools and stuff too. My brother, has a 6-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and he said the other day, he was playing with his 6-year-old and turned his head for a second, and the 1.5-year-old just bloop, jumped in the 4 feet of water. But thank God they were right there.
Oh my God!
It just goes to show you, it just happens so quick.
So your advice, people with kids, you better watch them, because with the blink of an eye, that's it. They could be gone.
Blink of an eye. And then, the sooner you get your kids, get them swimming lessons, get them going right away too. They have this crazy, they have these swimming lessons you can do for infants even too. It's called infant underwater training and stuff, where these 7, 8, 9, 10 months old kids learn how to flip themselves over upright and stuff. It's nuts, man. It's crazy. You have to look it up and YouTube it. It's so crazy.
Holy
But just in
shit.
general, you think your kid might be too young, but no, get him swimming at 3, 4, 5 years old.
Yeah.
Get him going early.
Yeah, they did that to me really early, which I'm
Yeah.
very happy about. Yeah, Danny, I'm very sorry for you, especially your sister and the whole family of your side. It's like
Thanks, brother.
I mean, I wish I was there. I wish I was Superman to save him, I wish I
I
was
knew
there.
that's all I kept thinking too, man. Like, God, what if I would have been in town, whatever, and that's what my sister kicks herself on, and I shouldn't have left him that day. That's the tough part, the shoulda, woulda, couldas, and you think like, I could have done this differently and stuff. But again, it's just another one of those reminders that life is so precious, man. Don't take it for granted.
It is, yeah. And if you're healthy, you're spoiled. That's the bottom line.
Yep. 100%, brother.
Danny, why Colorado? Why do you live in Colorado now, since you're from Maryland?
Well, when I signed with the Rockies, it was because, it's my ex-wife now, but we get along great. And at the time, the reason why I signed with the Rockies is because her dad was suffering from a disease called PSP, progressive supranuclear palsy. It's a lot like ALS, but harder to diagnose. Remember Dudley Moore, the actor?
Yeah.
That's what ultimately he passed away from. And the same thing, when they diagnosed him with it, it's very similar to ALS in that you get trapped in your own body and everything, and stuff. And oh gosh, dang it, there was a TV show a couple of years ago that actually centered on the dad having the same disease. Peter Gallagher played the dad. It was the girl. She would play. She could only hear these people like singing these ensembles and stuff. And oh gosh, I knew I'd forget the name of it. It was. My ex-wife fell in love with the show because she could relate to it, because Peter Gallagher, the character, his dad, he suffered from the same disease. But so anyways, at the time when I was a free agent, I decided to choose Colorado because she's from here and her whole family was living here. And so she wanted to be close to her dad. I was super close to signing with the Dodgers. It was always one of my favorite places to pitch. I actually, I had an interest in possibly pursuing a career in Hollywood when I was done and everything too. So the president and CEO of the Dodgers at the time, I forget his name now, but he was rolling out the red carpet for me. He was like, Denny, the way I see it, we'll sign you to a 5-year contract. And I hear you're good friends with Jonathan Silverman. And I was like, yeah, how'd you know that? He goes, well, before I ran the Dodgers, I ran a little studio called Warner Brothers. Maybe you've heard of it. And he said, so
I know who you're talking about. What's his name? Shit.
I know. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Yeah, he's huge. He's huge, man.
Yes, huge.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, he's part of the Dodgers ownership. I know.
Yes.
Is it Peter? No.
No.
Fuck, he emailed me 10 years ago. Oh shit.
I know that's gonna be eating at me now.
Oh man, I'm gonna try to think about that.
But he said, he says, Denny, you're a good-looking guy, and stuff, man. I know you have an interest in doing Hollywood. He goes, I still have a few connections in that industry. So the way I feel it, we sign you to a 4 or 5 year deal, maybe one more contract after that, and then I'll slip your foot in the Hollywood industry. We'll start getting you some bit parts and stuff, and I'm going, oh my God, this guy's saying all the right things, man. It was actually funny too, Eddie, because the day that I finally made up my mind, I'm like, I got to do the right thing. Because my now ex-wife had said at the time, she goes, look, Denny, I don't want to stop you from signing with the Dodgers. I don't want you to look back 30 years from now and be mad at me or have regrets you didn't sign here. She goes, but my oldest was only like 5 years old at the time. Or no, I'm sorry. God, he was 1 year old at the time. She said, look, I want to be close to my dad. I don't know how many more years I have left with him. So if you want to sign with the Dodgers, go ahead. But, maybe just get a condo out there. But I'm going to stay out here in Colorado and we'll just come out and visit, whenever we can. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll keep that in mind. And I said, let me think about it. But I ultimately made the choice that I need to do the right thing. She needs to be close to her dad and everything. We can live at our own house and everything and stuff, And so the day I'm driving in for my press conference to make the announcement at Coors Field, I get a call from Silverman. He's like, Denny, he goes, I promised the guy we can't think of the name of right now from Warner Brothers. He said, this is my promise. I told him I would call. So this is my phone call I'm making to you. The Dodgers were only offering me 4 years at the time. He said, I've been authorized by such and such
Right.
that they're going to guarantee the 5th year. So Silverman's acting on behalf of the Dodgers, whatever, like consigliere, whatever you want to call him, whatever, And so he's like, but yeah, they're going to give you the 5th year. And I'm like, Johnny, you're killing me, man. I'm literally parking at Coors Field right now, walking in the press conference, And he's like, well, I can at least say I did my part. I made the phone call. So
oh, wow. He tried to get you here too.
He tried to get me. Yeah.
Wow. That's unreal. So how many kids you have? 3, right?
I have 3. Yep, 23-year-old son and then 19-year-old boy and girl twins.
Oh, you got twins?
Yep,
And then 19.
19.
All right, so here's my question, right? You being a dad, right? Obviously, this is your beautiful daughter, right? I'm sure
Yes.
the twin is beautiful too, right? When they start dating, and I'm sure they are,
Oh, yeah.
when you see that guy for the first time, right? You give him that look like, if you break my daughter's heart, I'm going to break your head. I mean, do they get intimidated by it with the first time you meet them? Talk to me about that.
All I do is give them one look at the gun right there, baby. And
they're like, oh, shit, okay. What time you want your daughter back? 10 at night?
my daughter's over here right now laughing, smiling right now.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I can honestly say I've never even had that. I'd love to tell you the joke that, I was cleaning my shotgun in front of him or whatever, but I'll tell you what, man, I couldn't ask for a better boyfriend for my daughter.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure because, in New York, when we have daughters and they're beautiful and the father has to give that guy the look like, I don't think so.
You know what? I swear to God, man, he's some kind of kid, man. I couldn't have written a better Hollywood script for the, first
All right,
series.
well, you tell her if something happens to her, you and I, we're going to do a Tony Soprano on him. You know what I'm saying?
Perfect.
Listen, Denny, was an amazing interview. I mean, I love it. I'm glad. And by the way, you big leagued me in 2020 when I DM'd you. I said, come on my show. You never answered me. Why is that, Denny? Give me your excuse.
I swear to God, when you sent me this message the last time, I swear to you on my life, when I saw that old message and I go, oh my God, I never answered him that last time. I swear, I'm sure I probably did see it, and I swear I probably just brain farted, man, and totally forgot to get back to you, man. Because I'm so glad we did connect on this.
Yeah, well, my pulmonary artery was cracked because I'm saying to myself, I got all these studs, and this guy's saying no to me? Are you kidding me? He didn't even say no. He didn't answer me.
No, I'm so bad, man. Dude, ask my own family, dude. They give me crap. My mom will text message me, and I take 4 days to get back to my own damn mom. I'm so bad sometimes.
Oh my God, terrible. Well, listen, don't go anywhere. I just need a couple of favors. So, Denny Neagle, thank you so much. You are
my pleasure, bro.
You are the bomb. Don't go anywhere. Hold on a minute. Finish.
Hey, this is Denny Neagle, former Major League pitcher. Please go and subscribe to all at Eddie Maddux platforms.